Well, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast down for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. My name is Raheen Aljume, and this is The Morning Glow. We're here every day, Monday through Friday from 7 o'clock in the morning, until 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can definitely be a part of the conversation. We love to have you. All you have to do is give us a call, 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We definitely love to have your input on what we're going to talk about today. Got a couple of topics we're going to kick off with today. I want to ask you this question. Um, I'm gonna start off with I'm trying to figure out which one I want to start off with this morning because I got so many that I want to talk about today. And just for the record, so everybody know, I would not be here Thursday and Friday. We will be doing a rebroadcast. I will be in the Houston, Texas area. I will be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and coming back this way Sunday. So you could definitely tune in. We will have a rebroadcast. We'll have a couple of rebroadcast shows going on during that particular time, but there will not be a live broadcast on Thursday and Friday. There will not, and I do repeat, there will not be a live broadcast. Brian, good morning to you. Good to have you this morning. There will not be a live broadcast on Thursday and Friday. So I just want to let you all know that if you tune in and you see a broadcast that you've seen before, don't look at it as being strange. It's just that we are not having a live broadcast on Thursday and Friday. I'd like to keep y'all up to speed as to what's going on. So I don't like surprises and don't like to give you any surprises at all. So now the phone lines are open, 508-924-3521, 508-92521. Now, okay, yeah, this is a topic I want to get started with this morning, and I'm going and I'm gonna say this to the parents, to a lot of parents out there, because I see situations where your kids. Can I talk to you about your kids? I try not to be disrespectful. I try not to be disrespectful, but I want to excuse me. Wow, I want to talk to you about your kids. Um, let me say this to you: if you baby them, if your kids are the kind of kids that act up, act out, and do all kind of things um, that they should not do, I want to let you know this right here. In some situations, excuse me for clearing my throat, morning time, but I want to say this to you: if you baby your kids, it could be a possibility you could be burying those very kids or that child if you don't give them the absolute truth. If you don't talk to them the way that they should be talked to and let them know what's going on. If you try to, good morning, chocolate. Good morning. Good to have you this morning. If you baby your kids, you could be burying your kids. I know you want to be nice to them and want them to be all nice and calm and polite and all kind of things, but I'm gonna tell you something. Treat them kids like young adults. If they're young adults, I say I'm gonna say this even before they become young adults, but treat them like young adults. Let them know right from wrong. Let them know what right from wrong is. Let them know what the situation is. Teach them responsibilities and different things of that sort. Because if you baby, I see he didn't know that, or she didn't know no better, blah blah blah. Well, if they didn't know any better, it's because you didn't teach. You're the parent because of the fact that you did not teach them any better. And so my thing is, you as a parent have to teach your children. If you don't, teach them, how are they to know? If you don't teach them, how are they to know? Teach your children. Don't baby your children. Don't say that, well, excuses. I'm going to go ahead and say it. A lot of times, parents, y'all make too many excuses for your kids. You make too many. I'm multitasking, so y'all bear with me for a second while I do this. But y'all make too many excuses for your kids. And I'm going to say it again. If you baby your kids, you could be burying your kids. So give them real. I'm not saying be harsh or mean or cruel or nasty. Nah, that's not what I'm saying to you. But what I am saying to you is, if you don't give them the real, if you don't teach them what's really real, you could be preparing your child for that graveyard or that jail cell. Either that jail cell or that graveyard. That what you want to do. That where you want to see your children. I know it's not, because you love them, and maybe that's why you even maybe that's even why you baby them. But you got to understand though, you cannot baby those kids to the point where they don't know what's really going on. They go out there and do something wrong. Somebody do something to them. It's just Rico. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I can't complain, man. I'm just happy to see a beautiful new day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look here. They got on me yesterday. Say, look here, we supposed to start at 7 o'clock. Well, look here, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock on the dot. Remember, drop top. Yes, sir.
Hey, Troy was the one got you yesterday. You weren't listening to me when I said it, so I ain't saying nothing yesterday. Troy, you the one got you.
But it was a combination. It was a combination. It was a combination. But what we talking about this morning, and Cassandra just called in as well. Yeah, y'all must be on the same phone line. Both of y'all called in pretty much the same time. But and I appreciate both of y'all, man. I'm definitely glad y'all are here, man. I was solo for a second there, but I'm talking about parenting. Right now, we're talking about parenting. And this is not our topic of the day. This is our wake up topic, if you will. But we're talking about parents, and I'm saying to the parents out there, I know everybody loves their children. Hopefully, everybody loves their children. Everybody have a love for their children. But what I'm saying is, if you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children. Teach them. I'm not saying to be mean, cruel, or nasty, but teach them the real. Because if you don't, if you make excuses for them every time they do something, you make an excuse for them, and you babying your children, they could either end up in a jail cell, the prison, or the grave. Because you as parents did not teach them properly. Do you agree with that? If you baby your children, you could be burying your children. Do you agree with that?
You can. I ain't gonna say if you baby them. I'm gonna say if you enable them and then allow them to get away with bad behavior. I mean, you can have a good child and baby and sort of seclude them. You haven't heard that. Well, I know you've heard that phrase, a sheltered child. Most times, sheltered children are babied a little bit. We call that baby. That's the slang term for it. And so, sometimes you might not be setting them up for prison or death of the most terrible situation, but at the same time, you might have them in a situation where they don't understand consequences. They don't understand the response to their actions from other people, or how to have compassion or empathy for other people, because they always get their way, or maybe they aren't prepared to experience the real world. They only know it in a very easy way because somebody's always made it easy for them. It sort of reminds me of that documentary I seen, The 1%. When I wasn't on the 1%, it was by the guy that made the 1%. It was another one that was really just talking to different people. I think it was called Trust Fund Babies or something like that, but that's really who he was talking to. Different children that had trust funds and all. Some of them got mad afterwards and sued him. He's the heir of Johnson and Johnson.
Okay.
And he had Donald Trump's daughter on there before she even got, up in the White House with her father. Interviewed quite a few of them, and one of them was saying how they had never gone down certain streets, and they always had a driver. And so finally, when they got their own car, I think they were 16 or maybe, they were 18. They wanted to go to the mall, but they wanted to go through an area that they had never been able to go through. The driver never took them through. And he said he went to this mall, and these people were rushing him because he was driving this exotic car, Lamborghini. And he said he was like, looking like, man, what's the big deal? He thought everybody could get one.
Wow.
Which everybody could. But at the same time, because everybody can if they have the income and they work hard enough. That's their ambition.
Yeah.
But he thought it was just automatic that everybody could afford one, because he didn't have to. He didn't understand the cost of the economy or wages or the class of people that had to work, but they couldn't earn that type of money to get things like that. So that was a wake-up call for him. And he started understanding his privilege. And they, some of those privileged children, they battle that. They go back and forth, dealing with the fact that they know some people don't have, but they inherit this money and these fortunes, and they didn't work for it. When they see other people working so hard, doing things that they have no clue about doing, or they have no understanding of, and can't make any money, or making things easy for them, the people that help them and take care of them, they realize that they can't afford the same things that, they have. So some of them battle that. They deal with the issue of receiving this wealth and not working for it when they know other people are working and not getting the wealth that they deserve.
Wow.
But who's going to sacrifice that comfort?
Exactly. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, how do you feel about that? And we're talking about this morning that you can actually spoil your children to a fault. If you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children, say in prison or the graveyard or whatever the case, because of the fact that you did not give them the real, or did not stop their, like Rico said, stop their bad behavior, or make them recognize or realize that they do have bad behavior. What do you say to that, Cassandra? Privileged children.
Hello. Boy.
Okay.
I wish that I could have had privileged children. I would have loved to have been able to give my children everything that they need and a lot of what they want. I mean, I think most parents would like to do that. I just
let me ask you this question.
Have a
and I love it. Let me ask you this question. Is there a way or can a situation happen where you could actually give your children too much?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know people would have done that didn't really have it to do. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have it, but they would sacrifice over and over and over again to make sure that child got the things that they wanted, not even just what they need, things that they wanted. And, and I understand that aspect of it, because I didn't have, when I was growing up, I mean, literally didn't have hardly anything. And so I worked 2 jobs to try to make sure that I moved my kids into a certain area, because I wanted them to not experience what I experienced. So I don't know. I think, as parents, we want to give our children the best, and sometimes we can overdo it.
Yes.
Like I didn't want my children to work while they were in school. I just wanted them to focus on school. And a lot of parents, they're just the opposite. They wanted their kids to get out there. I didn't want that. I wanted my kids to get an education without worrying about, I got to go to the job and make the money. So I sacrificed and worked hard to give them that opportunity. I don't know whether that makes sense.
It does.
I just wanted my children to have what I didn't have. And if I overdid it sometimes, I may have, but not to try to spoil them, but so that they would not feel what I felt as a kid.
Cassandra, I'm gonna ask you a question, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. We'll transition over because we got Toussaint with it as well. But if a parent, though that is a parent, want to give their children the best, they want their children to have the best. They don't want their children to have to suffer. They always want their children to be elevated for where they are. Whatever situation the parents lived in or was raised in, they want their children to have it much better than what they have it. But in doing that, can you be enabling your children?
It's according to your parenting style. I don't like to use the word, well, you can enable your children. I feel like a good parent, you sort of know when you're at that line, and then you know when you cross that line. So if you enable them, you're doing it because you just want to. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know when you are becoming a crutch for your children. And I know people that they're, as adults, their children, even into adulthood, their parents, enabled them. Think about that. We all know people like that.
Absolutely.
That their parents literally enabled them into adulthood. And now they mama's boy. Well, a lot of times we call them mama's boys and daddy's girls.
Wow.
You know, so.
See, and that's a sticky little area. That's a real sticky little area because again, you want to do the best by your children. You want to do the best by, but at the same time, how do you know? And Tucson, good morning. How you doing this morning? How do you know when? Okay, it stops right here. That's enough. That's enough. How do you know, Cassandra? How do you know when to say that?
I think I didn't. Well, with my son, I had to come to that point because, you know, I was doing everything I could, and I've told the story many times, and he decided that because I would give him, you know, and do a lot for him and my daughter, he wanted more. So he started dealing drugs at 16. And he thought he was going to be able to stay in my house and do the drugs, you know, and deal drugs, and that wasn't going to happen. So he went out there and did what he did. And then when he started going to jail and being arrested and stuff, you know, I was going constantly, you know, trying to bail him out. You know, I'm gonna give him a chance. I'm gonna give him another chance. I'm gonna give him another chance. And we can do that as parents. And that right there is all wrong, all wrong. And then I got to a place where I had to let him fall flat on his face and not step in.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. And see, even with that, and I'm going to go to Tucson, even with that, it has to be a hurtful situation to know that I have to step back, knowing that your child is going, is going through something, and to get to that realization that I have to step back. They got to get burned by their own fire. And sometimes that's what it is. They got to get burned.
I'm going to tell you, Raheem, I'm going to tell you, I don't know about fathers because I ain't never been a daddy, but as a mother, it hurt me so bad when I had to step back and let my son feel a fire. Man, I would cry. I would cry out to God, God, you know, don't let this happen to my son, blah, blah, blah. It was painful, but I feel like I did have a hand in it.
Wow. Cassandra, there's so many different directions. What you just said right there's so many different directions I could go off of that. Because you said that you had a hand in it. It's almost like you taking a piece or a part of responsibility. But do we have to, let me go to Tucson. Tucson, do we have to, as parents, if our children act up, and we don't want them to act up in that way, what we're talking about right now is sometimes, Tucson, we're talking about if you baby your children, you could bury your children. And so should we, if our kids go out there and we do everything that we could do to make sure that they're good citizens, do the things they're supposed to, if they go out there and they act up, Tucson, should we as parents take a part of responsibility for their actions and what they do?
Just because I said she never been a father. I've never been a mother. But we both parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, and I got one daughter and 4 sons. And I want what's best for them. And while it was coming up, I was strange. Would you think I would be strange? Sure.
No.
And she said something about even in the part where they're grown, and I'd do anything for them. That I thought that would help them. But even when it was coming up, I didn't believe that I should just hand them stuff because they wanted it. Especially because it was a trend or because that was the thing that was going on. I wasn't that type of parent. But I remember. Do you think it's more, Tucson? Do you think it's more men that have the attitude? Because women, you think women are a little softer when it comes to that, and the children know that they could get more out of the mother than they can the dad. No, it's a mother's love. It's strange. You never will understand. I never will understand it.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mama just, do things that, daddy will let you bump your head.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the nurturing of a mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's just unique and different. It's just what it is. But I remember when my daughter graduated. I hope I'm not throwing out under the bus. It just happened. It's life. She graduated from high school. She said, "Daddy, I graduated." And then she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant." Oh, okay. And I said, "Okay, well, I'm cutting you off because you got your own family. You need to see about it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Time went on, and she called me. She says, "Daddy, I'm getting married." No, she said, "I got something to tell you, but it's gonna cost you." That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh." And she had to go. She come back, call back. She says, "Well, I'm getting married." I said, "Oh, really?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, let me ask you something." I said, "Who you married?" "Oh, my baby daddy." "Oh, okay."
Mm-hmm.
Where does he work?" "Oh, he cuts hair on the side." "Oh, strike one." "Where does he live?" "With his sister." Strike. "Oh, strike two."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and I told her, I said, "A couple of weeks ago, you called me crying because he told you he's not gonna stop calling him about the children, and that's his children."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Him, this is the way that this is gonna go." I said, "I'm not gonna help nobody bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't gonna cost me nothing."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do anything for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I'm not that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that. I'm not gonna pay for somebody to abuse her.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not finna do that. I didn't think nothing of him. No. My answer, she started speaking to me. "God, well, bless your heart."
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of months passed. She didn't call me in. I'm not. That's my child. I'm not gonna call her. That's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad. I don't think it's a bad thing. A couple of months later, she called me up, and she told me how things had happened and how it went down, and oh, by the way, I need some money. I said, all you had to do is ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, it wasn't about whether I was not willing to give her anything. I still do for her now.
Mm-hmm.
I know she. I don't know if I'm enabling her or not, but she has 4 kids, and sometimes it get hard raising 4 kids.
Yeah.
She
Absolutely.
needed a car.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I did? I went down there to the car lot.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a car and met her and brought it to her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I'm still paying for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm enabling her or not. But she don't have to struggle to get to work. I'm not going to go to her job for her. I bet you that. So, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I don't know, because for the boys, I'll do different.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you have bought a car for them in the same situation?
I bought a car for my son when he graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
But I told him I'll buy you the car because thank you for graduating. You did good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to put insurance on it. I bet you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job.
Yeah.
You insure your car. And if you don't have insurance, park it in the yard, because I don't want nobody to call me and tell you got stopped behind not having insurance. So if you don't have it, you can't drive it.
Yeah. Point blank.
It's your car.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want you in trouble.
Exactly. To keep this thing
going. It's a twofold thing you got to be careful about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. Definitely love to have your input. We're talking about if you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children. If you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children. Badger, good morning. How you doing this morning?
It's another day to be able to get up and walk around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, what do you say to that? We're talking about pampering your children, maybe giving them too much, or pulling them out of situations and making excuses for your children. And along those lines, we're also saying that if you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children in a cemetery or in the prison settings. What do you say to that?
Man, that's something I actually ask myself all the time, because it's, the spare the rod, spoil the child mentality and stuff. When is it needed and when is it not?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Where do you draw the line?
However, I also feel that if all of the parents were doing the best they can, like most people say they are,
Mm-hmm.
then where does responsibility go from the parents to the community?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
One of the things I'm currently working on is making sure is looking to move where there's a good community.
Mm-hmm.
Because where we live, there's not there ain't one really. So it's interesting to me, as the parents are going to have probably the biggest influence overall, but the community that you allow your child in to run around in and all that stuff is also going to be a huge influencing factor.
But see, someone could say to that, you're not going to allow that community to raise your child. It's your responsibility to raise your child, not the community. And so you have to prepare you before that child go out of your house. Before that child go out of your house, you should have prepared that child a certain way so they know what is going on out there in the community and what some of the things that they can run into. And some people would say, if you are a good parent, then that's a part of preparation, and that's part of being a parent, to prepare your children for what might happen. What do you say?
You talking about that
the community
junk that the white folks put out there?
The what now?
The junk that the white folks put out there.
Some call it jokes. Some call it reality. I know. I have daughters, and I had to tell them certain things that to look out for when they go outside of this house. This is what could happen. I don't know if that's a joke or not, and I know people that have boys.
I said junk.
Oh, you said junk. Okay. My thing is right. I know that some people that have little boys, especially little black boys, they have to tell them if you run into the police or something like that, if you do this happen or that happen, this is what you do. And
I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's that toxicity
mm-hmm.
that's been handed down for the past couple of generations that has completely derailed the whole family dynamic and community dynamic. I mean, a lot of people I know when they were growing up, there was a lot more community oriented things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now, a lot of people are worried about their cars getting broken into, worried about, this person or this person doing something bad to the kids. And, it's always like this mentality of, well, just be afraid of everybody, even your uncle and aunt.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we supposed to get along and overcome anything?
I think we veered a little bit.
No,
Because
you're talking about the parents, and I have an issue with that because you can't blame the parents all by themselves. The parents aren't at the school controlling, having to deal with all that. They're not out there in the community. So yes, the parents can give them tools.
well, who is responsible for the children?
The whole.
Oh, really? So everybody is responsible for my kids, your kids, and everybody on this panel. Everybody's responsible for our children.
That's exactly how it should be.
Wow. Reality is not, brother.
Well, no, of course not, because people
Okay.
took the white man's way.
Okay. Well, that's your opinion, brother. That's your opinion. Mr. Hicks, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, whole family. Good morning.
Mr. Hicks, you laughing already, Mr. Hicks? Mr. Hicks, you laughing already?
I came on the end of it, so I don't really know the full content, but it was so funny.
What we're talking about is talking about children and how do you say it, when you're rearing your children.
Oh boy.
We're talking about if you baby your children, you could very well be burying your children either in the prison system or in the cemetery, and how sometimes parents try to make certain excuses for the children, and they didn't do this or they didn't do that, or just go to bat for them when they know their children is wrong. What do you say to that, Mr. Hicks?
Ooh, wow. I think that part where it says spare the rod for the child. I think a lot of people take it simply in the thing of corporal punishment, or spanking. I raised a bunch of kids, and I've made mistakes and see the effects of that are spoiling the dynamics of just living life.
Mm-hmm.
But my older kids who are all independent, I never bought them a car or anything. That they pretty much bought me. But I remember when I was raising them, they all had tabs. I mean, when they would write on the walls, I got pictures of them all with little buckets, little tiny souls with rags and stuff, while cleaning up their mess, wiping the walls down. And I would make them stay there till they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
My son he took the trash out. My daughter, she had this, it was the philosophy my mother gave us. If everybody do a little bit, nobody has to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But my youngest son, who was born almost 10 years after the rest of them, was the baby by everybody, never taught those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
He came from school with an ADHD diagnosis that he bought into, and that his mother bought. I never bought into it. I thought it was whatever it was something you could learn to control it internally.
Mm-hmm.
So he took the Ritalin, and I think it took about a year, but he was, it just wasn't himself. He wasn't his active verbal self. He was spontaneous cry. So we took him off the Ritalin, and I took one of the pills before we took him off. I took one of these pills. Now my system was clear. Since coming out of prison, I just a clean kind of guy. I wasn't doing no kind of intoxicant. And man, it wrecked me so bad. I took him off the Ritalin. We went to school and pulled him out of school.
Mm-hmm.
But by that time, a lot of he bought into the diagnosis, and everybody around him bought into it. And he always now had an excuse for why he don't do things. And I knew it was just a thing that he never had to make his bed up.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
His home school. He'd have so I think so. The riders, the rules you give them.
Mm-hmm.
You give them the rules. You set the structure. They learn to be disciplined in things, and they grow up that way. But when they don't get that, it's a hard rebound. To be fair, when you're trying to make these adjustments, so it appears on the outside like, why are you really like labeling that boy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, yeah, everybody in the family done kicked him out. Nobody wanted him because of his behavior and his action. I know that, but I understand. I see his limit because I watched him when he was born. I knew how he was born. He wasn't supposed to be born. The tubes are tied. He was born with a silver cord around his neck. He lost oxygen, and that's what I think they later defined as ADD. But knowing these things, right, gives me makes me appear to anybody looking at the outside, say, boy, you really spoiled that boy. And he is the youngest son, so but sometimes you give the love to the one that needs it the most. You get the patient. You the one that don't reject it when everybody else will. But it's a pain in that too. There's a suffering. But yeah, you don't raise them right. It's the parents. It's not the community. It's not the school. It's not church. Those are supported things. Those are things that you hope support. But in the world we live in, it's not out there. You got to give them the kind of strength and have the kind of dialogue where they're communicating with what they're encountering every day. But so it's not the community.
So it's not trying to combat or say anything about Badger's comment, because that's his opinion. He feel it. But you don't think it's the community that raised the children? It's the parents' responsibility to raise the children? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Oh, I'm saying it's the parents primarily. It's their. You had them. You know, you had these kids. You had that sex. You had that fun, and this was the product of. Hopefully, you was thinking about that. But most times you wasn't. I wasn't.
Okay.
It just happened.
Okay.
But I'm not. I understand. I mean, I've understood that. Take the village to raise the people, going back to the ancestral, how the Native American lived, and all those things, and it's great, but it's not real, not now.
Wow. And see, and that's why I say I can understand what Badger was saying, because just like you said, it takes a village, and realistically, in a perfect world, I'm all with that. It takes community, but now who do you even know the community? Do you know who's in your community? Do you know who have the best intent for your children, or who is trying to do something shady when it comes to your children? Cassandra, what's on your heart? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Hicks. You want to finish your thought?
No. I'm just agreeing with you. I was agreeing wholeheartedly. My ancestry is Aboriginal, Native American. It is. So I know how it was. I've been taught those things and hear those things, how it used to be.
Yeah.
How it used to be for Africa and tribes, but it's a new world.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Cassandra, what's on your heart, sis?
A couple of things. I came up in the 60s and 70s, and we had neighborhood growth. We had community raising. I did something wrong. Miss Becca across the street see me do something wrong. Miss Becca would jack me up or pop my behind or whatever. And then call my mama and tell her I got another whipping. If the teacher at school needed to pop you, they take the little ruler and they'd pop you across your hand or on your butt or whatever. It was different. It was very different from the way we do now. But we did not have the type of problems that we have in our communities now. And yes, communities have changed. Most people don't even know their neighbors. That's sad. I've always thought that was pitiful. But it was different, and it did work. We did not have the type of stuff going on in our neighborhoods like they do now. And then I wanted to, Mr. Hicks, when Mr. Hicks mentioned about the Ritalin, as an educator, 12 years teaching school, I'm going to tell you, there are kids that need medication. Nothing you do, I don't care what kind of behavioral modifications you try to do. And then as a counselor, now I've worked with children with mental health for several years. Some children have to be on some type of medication, because if not, you are talking homicidal, suicidal, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So we have to, you have to take each child's case individually and decide what needs to be done. Because if you don't do something, then you end up having children that are schizophrenic, bipolar, and you could have curbed that by dealing with it with possible medication because of chemical imbalances that may be in that child's brain. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I just, it is what it is. I know we don't want to hear that, and I know that we think that everything can be helped, with changing the diet or with behavior modification, it does not work. Not for all kids.
Cassandra, let me ask you this question. Can that whole system of medicating the children, and I receive what you just said. I receive what you just said, because in some situations, yes, it's needed. You know, you have to give them that balance, to balance everything off. But can it also, or does it at times become abusive by the school system? If a child just act up a little bit, give medicine, get a medicine, get a medicine, get a medicine. Can it be abusive as well?
But see, that's not. See, people think that's how it works. You just don't a child be acting up and no. There are a series of things that they do, IEP testing and a whole bunch of other things that they do. There are tests that are done and run by clinical psychologists and medical professionals that a child goes through before they actually get on medication. They just don't say, "Oh, Johnny must be bad. He always bad. He always doing something." But it don't work like that.
Okay.
It does not work like that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I wasn't clear, you know, how that whole system worked, and so that's why I wanted to make sure, not just for myself, but for my listening audience as well, because some people think that.
Yes, it's a process.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a process that's flawed. When before I pulled my son out of school, I did a research. I studied, and I saw with the basic problem that's always been there. It's a matter of now the class size, and the teacher's responsibility to handle these things. The emphasis was that there's a group of kids being born for whatever reason that need a different approach to education. They need a more centralized or more personalized. We're talking about spending money. But if you got a kid like that, if you got a teacher working with him, like, what's that movie, Blindside? I know it's fictional. The Blindside football player that had special tutoring, special ways to get him. So I know this with my son and the experience that in my research, that these kids beginning to take Ritalin early in life, using an outside source of medication to change their emotion and feeling. It sets them up in a world with fentanyl and all the other drugs out there. There's all these other things that it could use to change their consciousness. So I'm saying, even though it's a solution I understand the problem. I'm saying what most of the problem we have, you say, you got a problem, take a pill. Instead of the whole is supposed to go like, what is the source of this? What is the diet? Not just the food diet, but what is the mental diet? What's happening in the home? What kind of confusion? Because there was confusion going on in our house at that time. This boy was born unexpected. His mother wasn't. She had gone back to college. She's getting her life going on, and here all of a sudden now she's pregnant. So there was an emotional thing going on in that process that affected this child. I'm saying all these children going to these schools, these different situations, have special emotional and mental problems. Now, a pill to solve your problem. Look at the world we got now. You got a problem? They commercials on television all over the place. Then they clear this up in, but it could cause this, could do this, and could do that, could do this here. Well, you get taking a pill to lower your cholesterol, to avoid changing your eating habits and living habits, exercising, breathing. Same thing with the COVID. If you exercise, get out in the sun, get that D3, eat right, already doing that stuff, not overweight. Your body builds a system, you're able to conquer what comes into the world. But this whole thing of pills and psychic drug manufacturers, the billions they make off feed these kids, sure, they got a system. They'll say you got a system, but they don't do it.
Okay. Now, so Ms. Hicks, let me ask you this question: do you think there's any situations where a child should be on medication?
Sure.
Okay. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. That's what the business model is. The more people that take the drugs, the more booster shots you can take, the more other things they take for us, it's more money for them. So it's like everything. It's connected with dollars.
Okay. Rico, what's on your heart? Badger coming to you next.
Well, first off, a lot of these things that children are being medicated for didn't exist in such abundance like it does now. So there's another reason, a number of factors that contribute to this behavior. I think Hicks is right. Sometimes medication will be necessary for certain things, but there's a lot of contributing factors to that process. Like
Rico, let me jump in one second.
Rico, let me finish, man, because y'all done got off track. I sort of got something else I want to speak on. This ain't even got nothing to do with parenting to a certain extent. Well, as far as baby to be buried. Mm-hmm. But I just want to make this little statement because I had something else I wanted to say. The children that do suffer from the lack of being able to focus or paying attention also lack of attention. And so that's where a lot of that also comes from, the environment, So, I mean, it's two sides of that. And that's where the parent comes in. Now, you ask the question, can you baby a person till you bury them? And the answer is yes. See, you can. I've seen people over nurture the child. Then I've seen people reward their child by not holding them responsible or giving them consequences for their bad behavior. And some of those children I saw after we got grown, they ended up being killed early. We've seen a number of examples of children that were unruly. And it just seemed like they didn't have no rules at home. Nobody held them accountable, so they just came out in the street and acted like terrorists. And the public didn't assist them, didn't help them. Now, on that end, there is a little responsibility to the community when that child is in the community or when that child is in public. If you go to a job, then whoever that child goes to for that first day of work, and they train them, they're taking the parents' responsibility. They're training them to be able to do what they need to do on their job. If they don't do good on their job, they probably wouldn't train right. But it all comes back from training. You see, we could talk about spoiling them or babying them with wealth and material things. But then at the same time, we got to understand that our children going to inherit something from us, whether it's material, whether it's money. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They inheriting something every day. And so what we have to do is make sure what they're inheriting from us is positive and it is consistent. That we don't just give them things because we don't want them to teach them how to earn. That we teach them that they have to make good grades to get these finer things that I can afford. I might be able to give you anything in the world. But if you're acting and misbehaving and acting out in public, or not minding me, I'm not giving you these things. I remember having chores. That means you had to do things and get an allowance. I had to make good grades to be able to continue to play sports. I mean, that was a reward factor. But if you have a child that's going from school to school, bullying kids, getting kicked out, acting up toward the students and the teachers and the principal, and they call you up there and you start talking about something, well, y'all picking on my baby. Mm-hmm. My baby said, and then every school they go to, it's the same thing. That baby can act up and see that he could be as bad as he wants to and not get in trouble. That's a reward. You might as well buy him a Lamborghini.
So basically what you're saying Rico, is that you're enabling that child to do that bad behavior.
Enabling and rewarding. To a certain extent, it's a reward, But see, now the reason why I say it still is the parent's responsibility, because I heard what Badger said about the community. Mm-hmm. Imagine when your child turns 16 and they say, Dad, I want to drive. And you say, here go the keys, but you ain't never taught them. They didn't inherit the training. They didn't inherit whatever it was that you were supposed to. Now, don't get me wrong. I was able to pick up a lot of driving just from watching because I was interested enough. But it was some things I just didn't know. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand all the street signs, the double lines in the road. Mm-hmm. So somebody was going to have to get me out and train me and show me how to drive before they just gave me the keys to the car. Mm-hmm. And they were going to inherit that knowledge. They were going to inherit those tools to be able to learn how to earn and respect people, how there were going to be consequences behind being bad and doing evil things, being criminal. You have to, you can enable somebody or baby somebody till they bury themselves. Mm-hmm. And you'll be actually contributing to that because you never held them accountable. Yeah. You never taught them responsibility. You over nurtured them and never held them accountable or broke that thing that they were doing because you blamed it on somebody else, or you loved your child too much, and sometimes we got to understand
Because hold on.
addiction is
Stay right there for a second. You said because you love your child too much. Now, is there such an animal?
Yeah, you could be so in love with them that you're addicted to them. You adore them to the point to where they can't never do no wrong. You know, man, look, I'm so real, I can't even use fake names. That's why I try not to tell stories. But I know of people like this, and I knew that they were going to die at a young age because I watched their mama blame everybody.
Yeah,
until they finally just had to drop out of school. It was never her child's fault, but he had all the women. She kept them dressed and clean. And she was one of them women that you know, had children by different dudes, but she always had children by men that had money. That was popular football players that were local, you know, had potential. You know how that goes.
Well to do.
You have the apple.
Yeah,
well
right. To do. Yeah.
So you know, you can see this situation happening in so many ways, not just with men, but with women too, with girls, and the way parents spoil them and don't hold them accountable for how they treat people. You know, you got to have a balance. You have to show people that they have to earn these titles in a respectful way. They have to earn these gifts and these material things, or even just the right to drive. You know, if you have a car that they can drive and you trust them, or you have one that you could buy them and get them when they turn 16, at least let them know that there are certain responsibilities and priorities and other things that they have to take care of to be able to have the right to drive. You just shouldn't have privileges just because.
Exactly.
If you're not careful, then you'll have somebody that always feel like they're entitled to do what they want to do and never have to do anything for it.
Good.
Never
Stay
have
right
to
there.
earn it.
Good. Stay right there. Let me go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
So the comment I was making about the whole community thing is the parents are the primary. The ones that you let your kids hang out with is the community. Which in essence you would think that, you know, they're similar as far as being on the same page. You know, they're going to respect the rules that you gave your kids and things like that. Now, my view of what Rico's talking about is neglect. They're not giving kids what they need. They're giving them what they want. Like I would love to spoil my kids. However, they need to know what responsibility is, morals, respect, honor. That's priority. That's what they need to be a good human being. They don't need a fancy computer, fancy TV, games, and all that stuff. In my house, if you ain't respectful, if you ain't responsible, you ain't getting none of that. And any kid that comes over here, I hold them to the same degree. And I tell the parents, I'm like, look, your kid ain't getting away with stuff here. Because to me, it's not only just because it's being a parent, it's also being responsible to others. Because I live by a rule, be responsible for yourself and to others. And I'm teaching my kids the exact same thing. Everything you do affects everything around you. And it shows not only how you were brought up, like if you go out there acting a fool, everyone's going to think that me and mama are no good. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Because they're going to ask you who raised you. I'm like, so everything you do as a human being has consequences, good or bad. And that's something I feel has been lost.
Wow.
So talking about the topic that you're talking about, I understand the whole point of, you know, putting everything on the parents. However, you get into, if they're going to public school, if you're letting them go to the neighbor's house, you know, unless you're like just keeping them in a box and you're the only one teaching them, you have to take all of that into consideration. So yes, you can do your absolute best as a parent to give them the needs and to teach them all these things. But if they're learning the polar opposite everywhere else they go, it's kind of like, oh, so only my parents are like that.
Wow,
So
that's good. Go ahead, brother. Finish your thought.
Sorry, man. It's just it's deeper than that to me. You
Mm-hmm.
can't blame the parents 100%.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but go ahead.
So it's just, and dude, the stuff I've been looking at and researching, teachers are leaving school.
I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused. I don't mean to cut y'all back, but I'm confused. I don't know if Raheem is blaming a parent. He's just saying, can a parent baby a child till they are buried? I haven't heard him say that it's their fault or it's a blame, or I mean, I don't hear that in the conversation. So I see why you keep going to that direction, but I don't hear blame in this question. I just hear, can a parent be the enabler? Can a parent be the one responsible for some of the things that happens with these children that grow up to be monsters?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Of course, the community can. I mean, we all know the community influence is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But the question is, can a parent be the source?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's neglect.
Mm. See,
so what's the blame?
That's interesting right there when you say neglect, because like Cassandra was saying, I'm gonna go to Cassandra as well. She was saying that she wanted to make sure that her children had everything. So there was, I don't think that there was in her situation. I'm speaking about her situation. I don't think there was a semblance or anything that looked anything like neglect. She just wanted to make sure that she provided for her children in a certain way, because she said that she wanted to make sure that her children had the things that she didn't have while she was growing up. There's no neglect there.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, but go ahead. Explain it to me. Make it plain.
Okay, so you were talking about the spoiling aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And Rico brought up, the woman that he knew that it essentially taught the child to blame everyone else and not be responsible for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's neglect to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not teaching them what they need to be a good human being.
Okay, let's go to our. We have our counselor on with us this morning, Miss Cassandra. Miss Cassandra, what do you say to that? Is that neglect? How do you view that?
I don't. I think it is. Accountability, of course, is Joe, when you're dealing with children. This question might not be good for me, because I work a lot with children that have problems. I'm talking serious problems. So my perspective on it is not going to be like, Rico, ain't going to be like Badger, ain't going to be like Mr. Hicks, and it probably ain't going to be like yours either. Maybe Navy, and because we do counseling, maybe our perspectives and Kurt are going to be different, because we deal with kids that are in a lot of these mental health situations, which can be attributed sometimes to parenting, can be attributed to real mental health issues, chemical imbalances. So I think my perspective on this is going to sound weird probably to a lot of people, but I know I have a friend that she did everything right within her power to help her son, but he had, from 4 years old, he had mental health issues that showed up that caused him to act out, to be violent toward her and other people, and that never changed until he got on medication, when he would do the medication, because then he got older and he didn't like the way it made him feel. But the only time he was really any semblance of stability was when he was on medication. So my perspective is definitely going to be different from a lot of people, and I get it. We feel like, the parents may be at fault, and no, they need to take full responsibility. I just don't believe like that. I believe it takes, even as a counselor, that's a community to help some children get it together.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We definitely love to have your input. We're talking about if you baby your children, you could bury your children. If you baby your children, you could bury your children. And we're coming from an aspect of if a parent is always neglecting. I'm gonna use the word neglecting, and it's not what we're talking about right now. It's actually not neglect. I'm just using that as an example. If you're neglecting the fact that your child is acting up, if you're neglecting the fact that everywhere your child goes, there's a problem. He or she is doing all these things, but you keep making excuses for him. Well, he didn't know this, and he didn't know that, or she didn't do this, or she blah blah. You make all these excuses. If you baby your children, you could very well bury your children either in the prison system or in the grave. Captain, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning to you, Raheem, and good morning to the great panel of my fellow comrades who are very much experts in many of this field that you're talking about. I'm very honored, of course, as I always, to be on your show.
Honored to have you, brother. Honored to have you. What do you say to that? If you baby your children, you could very well bury your children. Is that true?
Well, there's some truth to it. There's no question about it. Who was that? That was Sister Cassandra just got off?
Yes. Yes.
Cassandra? She made a very, very valid point.
Okay.
That, dealing with very difficult children, you have to take into consideration that she looked at it from a counselor eye. That it is a difficult thing for any single mother to deal with, especially the male child. It's very difficult. She's the mother who's already going through very difficulty because she's a single parent. She has a male child or a child period that she's raising with the absence of the father who plays the balance. The father, he's the balance. Anytime you take the balance out of a stable situation, you don't have stability. You have what you call instability, and that's what our sister was saying. The medicine kind of gives back the stability that one loses as a parent. I think the single parent today, Raheem, all mothers, believe me, trust me when I say this to my sisters, my hat off to you. I salute you for the great job that you are doing, trying to raise any children without the aid of a male figure. I think that the brothers played a key role in the discipline, but there are mothers who are very soft in their approach to how they deal with their male child. There's no question. You could tell that, Raheem, that there is a shift in how mothers today bringing up their children. You could see that in how the male today is pretty much being raised dominant by females. As that male child takes on a lot of the feminine female characteristics because he's in a home where mostly females are raising him, a female grandmother, a female friend of the mother. So it may look like they're not disciplined, of course, because she probably don't believe in that kind of discipline. But nevertheless, it has some truth to it. And I think that what we need to do is understand the difficulty of the environment, the home that woman is going through trying to discipline that child. So, of course, there's some spoiled children out there. And I want to say this one thing, and I'm going to, as Brother Curtis said, then I'm going to land the plane. There was an old proverb. The minister used to tell this story about this Jamaican mother and her son. She did not discipline her son. All of the neighbors hated the way she was raising and spoiling that child. The son wound up murdering the man, and he was put on death row in that way. In the island, they hang him. They didn't elect him, they hang him. And of course, before they went to hang the young man, the mother went to see this child for the last time. So as she was going to see him, she's crying. And he says, "Mother, do you love me?" She said, "You know I love you, son. You know what?" She cried. And he said, "Mother, can you come close? I want to say something to you in your ear." And then when she came close, he bit off her ear.
Mm.
And he said, if you love me, why didn't you discipline me? Well, I wouldn't be dying today. I'm through with it. I'm landing the plane.
Wow. 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 Toussaint, you with us?
Yeah.
Talk to me, brother.
It's a lot of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I want some. Okay, so what's the? I got to go back to the original topic. Are we hindering, in a way, something our kids for some reason or other? Is that what we're talking about?
If you baby them, you bury them. If you baby them, you bury them. If you make excuses, all these excuses, they ain't never did nothing wrong, and they had this or they had that or this. If you do these different things, you're burying your children either in the prison system or in the graveyard, or just have them in a situation where they are not aware, if you will.
Yeah. Well, what happened? What's versus? And I'm not. This is not a critical.
Mm-hmm.
But versus, I say the way that we were raised. And we have a tendency to believe that our kids wanted something handed to them on a silver platter. Is that a wrong statement?
No.
Okay. What happened? Does anybody know what happened? How did we get there to the point where
Toussaint, could it be time? Could it be that we're dealing with a different grade of children? Who
raised their children? Who's raised? It's not the child's fault.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It's a different grade of children because we're grading them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Putting that out there. We're molding. We mold children to the way they are. If they get 15, between 6 months and 15, you can't blame that child.
Mm-hmm.
It's us. My child is a product of me.
So basically, what you're saying is we're watered down parents.
Well, I would say that we might be, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
If they proud to have Nike tennis shoes on their feet and they can't spell, is that Nike's fault?
No.
I heard something, and I didn't understand. It's not personal, but I heard something that we're going as far as, and I know, and I don't want to call. I can't do anything. I can't have this conversation without saying I heard something bad you say.
Mm-hmm.
And I want some clarity because my community that I stay in is not my child's fault. I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't look for them to do anything for my child. Period. Now they're gonna impact my child some kind of way because he has to leave the house.
Toussaint, let me jump in there.
Equip him.
Toussaint, let me jump in for a second. Let me jump in for a second because you just said something, and I want to get some clarity on what you just said, because Cassandra said back in the day that if when she was growing up, the neighbors saw her acting up, they could spank her behind, warm her behind up, and send her home. And then when she get home, she's gonna get her seat heated up some more. But now in this in this day and time, your neighbor. Look here, how you said, "I wish a neighbor would." See,
I feel that way too. But because they don't know how to raise their children.
No. I didn't say I feel that way. I'm saying people say that I wish a neighbor would try to discipline my children. So that takes the community out of it right there. But then again, I understand the element that we're dealing with. I do understand the element that we're dealing with, and some people don't see it and don't have the same viewpoint of discipline. And so you have to be real mindful. But if the community is what's important, if the community is that is needed, back in the day, the community could discipline your child, send your child home, Ain't you too soft, child? Yeah. Well, look here, but you ain't got no business acting like that. Spank that little butt. No, go home. By the time you get home, I'm gonna call Donna and tell Donna I had to light you behind up because you was over here acting up, and I'm sure he's gonna do the same thing when you get there. But in this day and time, I wish a Negro would. That's
yeah, and right.
But that's the difference.
It's different.
Yeah.
Because you look at the neighbor's children, and the neighbor's children are acting a fool.
Yeah.
So how you gonna tell my child something?
But see,
when your child is 2 steps from jail.
See, we is so much in this thing right here, man. Because what's happening is, and I got to go with Badge on this. The community has been diluted, man. The community has been watered down, man, and so it's not the same. It's not the same element. And so
we live in a video what you call them programs and the Housewives of Atlanta or whatever you call them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reality show.
Yes, reality show, man. The world. We think this stuff is real. We think reality shows are real. And that's the way we should conduct ourselves. And so we have children that watch us watch that and watch us try to react like that. And they mimic what they see. And here we go. So how can you trying to raise your child in such a way, and then they go down the street and the neighbors see them do something, and they don't do like the neighbors that we had did. They yank them by the arm and punch him side the head. And now we got a problem. Now we got a problem because that's what they do. Their children. I'm just saying, and not necessarily that, but we got a society. Now shut up. I'm gonna land my plane too. We got a society that smoke weed with their kids.
Wow.
Yep.
And see, that's the whole thing, man. And that's, I'm glad we went here. It's kind of a little different from where we started, but we've gotten here now, so let's deal with it. Community is corrupt. We got quite a few calls on the line. I want to touch each and every one of you. I'm trying to get you in order in which you came in. So let me go to I think we have Friday. Friday, you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
All is well. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. We're talking about if you baby your children, you could bury your children. And they had a conversation we just had. So where we at? What do you say to that? Is community corrupt? Is community?
You said we're talking about safety.
We're talking about the topic is if you baby your children, you can very well bury your children. And what we're talking about is a lot of time people make excuses for their children, pamper their children, and don't want to take responsibility for the children when they get out of base, and don't want to take that responsibility and correct their children. So, but now we're talking about we've transitioned a little bit into the community and how the community back in the day used to be as it is, but it's changed so much. Well, you can't even discipline your neighbor's kid. Don't even say nothing to them. Just so where are we?
We are in a place where we are in a generation of living out the byproduct of that term, babies having babies. So now the babies that were having babies had babies. So now they're kids, right? So then in that transition of that happening, not that was like all in itself bad, but at the rate that it was taking place, we stopped going to the needs of the elders. And I say that in terms of at home, things being taught and told, and then also to the point of sending somebody over that need. So yes, I think that community is important. You have to start early, but I also think that because at the same time that was happening, the men were being extracted out of our communities by a number of different means, either working, not showing up, drugs, jail, being killed. So then it shifted the dynamic of that. So then now there was a level of like security to a certain extent, for lack of better terminology, that was had so that those things could be taken care of and paid attention to. So there's a combination of impact points that happen that has shifted in what we consider and call community, what the community looks like in terms of safety, and then also it's been a shift, well, nationally on the level of what's been determined acceptable in terms of society. You have more people brave and out in terms of their poor behavior, and it's making it seem like it's okay and it's right. And TV has a lot of influence, social media has a lot of influence as well. So in terms of, and I'll clarify that, is meaning like more attention has been drawn to, these behaviors of, I can do what I want, you can't tell me what to do. And then the adults, because they're still trying to find themselves, because remember, babies that was having babies, they're just now trying to find themselves. So in terms of, I had to do this, so now I'm going to live the good life, or now I'm going to get back what I feel like I lost. And as it was stated, I'm bringing my child along with me. So we drinking together, we clubbing together, we smoking together, we doing everything together, because I'd rather you do it for me than somebody else.
Wow.
And that's the mentality that we're running into.
Wow. 508-92. Mute your phone, Friday. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. We're gonna go on this number right here. We're gonna go on Navy, Toya, and then we're gonna go to Kurt, and then we're gonna circle back around. So good morning, Navy. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. Sis, what's on your heart?
Oh, interesting topic that we talking about this morning. And
Thank you.
It comes with a lot of layers. I mean, from what I've heard talking about the question, I'm just paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what the question was, but basically, can you
if you baby your children, you can bury your children.
I think that with something that we talk a lot about on this show is like balance. I mean, you need balance in everything, and I say that, but also thinking about the fact of who we're asking to find this balance may have not known. Like, if I have a parent that comes into my office and brings their child in, and it's just like, here, fix them. And if I'm asking this parent to find balance, but that parent never knew what balance was for themselves, then I'm kind of asking them to give me something that they can't at this point. And a lot of the time, and parents don't want to hear this, and I'm not saying that this is straight across the board for everyone, because when we're dealing with situations like this, it's not cookie cutter. It's not a one size fits all. It's literally a person by person, case by case, family by family. But when I meet with my kids, I'm not so much as assessing them in that initial assessment. I'm assessing the generation. And I think that what I'm going to be working with this kid is going to determine what the mother or what the father or what the parents have already taught them. What has the parents instilled in them? Because a lot of the time, and again, this is not across the board for everyone, but when I have these parents that come in, it's just like, here, fix my kid. What they don't want to hear is that it's not them that needs to be fixed, it's you. Because they're mimicking what was taught to them.
Wow.
A 6-year-old isn't going to, well, I can't say in today's generation, but there has to be some exposure somewhere to where they picked up this behavior somewhere. And in all fairness, It could be from social media. It could be from school. It could be from TV. I mean, in all fairness, let's do that. But whenever you're coming into my initial assessment, and if you're talking to your 5-year-old the way that you would your homegirl, then that's the problem there.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's not a one-size-fits-all to this. And we're living in a generation, a mentor of mine said that we're living in a generation to where we're all listening to the same, and again, this isn't, for everyone, but we're all listening to the same music, we're all dressing the same way, and we're all having the same interests. We're all showing up at the same lounge or club together. And I'm just like, and I had to think about that because I'm like, it's just as many people in the older generation that knows who Future is and can quote his lyrics better than me.
Exactly. Wow. Toy, you want to talk to me, sis?
Somebody said Future. Yeah, I know his lyrics too, especially the one about the money. But so this is my thing, right? Because when we talk on in terms of our people, when we were slaves, we had children young. When we look at the terms of history, we know girls was getting married 12 years old. We know that they were having children, things of that nature. We know just that looking at history, we've changed in our eras. We just don't respect things anymore. We don't have values for things anymore. And that is a part of what plagued our communities, our kids. So we're not raising our kids up at all, period. See, this is one thing. The same way we make excuses for parents that made it, that got out the mud. It ain't no book. I did my best. But some of that stuff you knew you was doing. You didn't have to beat him closed fist like that. You didn't have to allow the, well, I smoke. I'd rather you smoke indoor than outdoor. You're not going to smoke it out. And if I can't smoke, I'm going to break your ankles, your knuckles, and your fingers. So we've changed the community. That's not what they want. They encouraging them boys and girls to sneak in windows and go strip and stuff and things. The community's values have changed.
Yes.
That's part of what Navy just explained.
Come on.
The community's values have changed. And we rapping and singing and they rapping and singing, but nobody's taking the time to correct. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there now. I rapped and sing with my nieces and nephews too, but they knew the standard. They knew greatness and excellence was the standard. They know you ain't no jail because I'm going to get you. There were certain things I knew, but they mamas and daddies did not promote the same standard that I did, even though they did different things. And I think that's where we come in at. We think that these kids come pre-downloaded. Oh, no, that kid ain't going to stick their finger in that electric socket at too. Well, why the hell why you think they make socket covers? Because somebody's child went and stuck their finger in there, goofy. So we've dropped the ball when it comes to values and morals. This is something else that Rico says all the time. We out of order. So why the kids not going to be out of order? But this is the thing with the kids. For most boys that live at home with their mother and no man, you're not finna re-raise a man. He done already got it out the mud. He done already been the man of that household for 10 or 12 or 14 or however many years. And any man that comes in and try to infiltrate that is not going to happen. And vice versa with little girls. Adults cannot do or say anything to these kids when you haven't raised them and they had to get it out the mud just like you. So you can't tell them nothing. Because can't nobody tell you nothing because you're getting out the mud. You feeling that pain. You having them babies. You the one got to get them checks. You the one that got to deal with broken heart when the man leaves. You the one that got to pay the welfare. So can't nobody tell you nothing because you getting it out the mud. And these kids is the same way. They're getting it out the mud. So our community is going in a mud type situation because everybody want to get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? So this is the mentality of our community. This is raising our community. That's what we're doing out there. That's why the games out there, why you so mad with your child for whatever they did and want to put them out, goofy. I told you be in here at a certain time. And if you're not here at a certain time, then go back outside. You got to sit outside and wait or go stay at your friend's house. Something goofy. But the pimps and the prostitutes, oh, they put you out. Oh, I bet you they supposed to be Christians too. Well, come on over here. We got a place for you to stay and eat and live. And there we go. Who you gonna learn from? The one that put you out because you was late 1 minute, or the one that seemed like they welcome you with open arms?
Wow.
I told you they were gonna be against you, but that's all right. You come over here, you can sleep. It might not be what you used to, but you can sleep. We gonna love you. We gonna jump you in if you want to be a part of this family, though. And if you want to get out, we gonna kill you. But listen, we gonna love you. We gonna give you alcohol. You get to have sex. You get to do anything you want to do except leave this gang. And then you wonder why the community is the way it is. This is how the community is raised in the community, because this is the community. We don't have those values no more.
30 seconds. Exactly.
And we so scared, hurt. We so scared to say something to somebody, open up our mouths, even our own kids. The community ain't gonna get straight. The community is running the community into the ground because nobody cares anymore. Nobody has values, morals. We out of order, and nobody wants to do the work. Everybody wants to have a good time and point fingers. So you doggone right. Ain't nobody whooping nobody else's kids, and they sure ain't whooping their own because they're busy. I ain't gonna say what they're busy doing, but we out of order and out of control, and this is the results of the community raising the community the new way.
Good deal. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Got quite a few people on the line with us, so everybody be careful and be patient. I'm making my way back around. I certainly gonna make my way back around. We got a lot of people on today, which is a good thing. Let me go to Kurt, and then we're gonna go to Pete. Pete just called in as well. Kurt, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Hey, what's going on, family? How y'all?
Yeah, you doing good, doing good. What's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
It ain't much to say, man. The ladies just
ladies hitting it out the park, and
ain't much to say, man. I mean, you know, I used to believe that like children learn by doing. I mean, children learn by seeing, right? And now I have this belief that says that human beings as a whole, even us as adults, our learning is visual, right? And it's hearing everybody talk, it's real weird to me how, you know, a lot of the things we did rebelliously system that was trying to control our every existence, what we did, how we dressed, who we dated, da 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 da. And in our rebellious nature, we became the robots that we was fighting so hard against. You know, I mean, you know, we wore our clothes backwards. You know, we stopped getting our hair cut, just start going natural. Everybody trying to go natural. You know, all of these things were things that was done to buck the system. And the system itself, those in charge of the system saw where it was lucrative, and then let that be the norm. You know, I don't know what to say, man. If I can't say positive, I'm not gonna say nothing at all.
Okay.
You know, we still got.
Is it a positive community?
We still got a road to travel. The community ain't as bad as some people would have us believe. I'm not gonna say that, you know, but it's easy to point out. It's easy to point out the flaws in anything, man. You know, you really want to know what's going on, man. All you have to do is look at some of these psychosocials. That'll tell you what's going on, especially if they being honest and true. You know what I mean? Because what's been going on in their families forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally think that, you know, the black race, I think the American race, although it may not seem like it, but I think the American race is in a very, very good position right now. For the first time in the history of America. I think it's in a very, very good position because it's in a position of awakening. It's in a position where the empathy that we talk about so much on this show, the empathy and sympathy that we speak of, I believe that there's more people now than ever who are waking up to the fact that a subset or group or culture in our American society deserves that empathy, deserves their true God-given rights, freedom, liberty, and justice.
30 seconds, Curtis.
I mean, I can see the gloom and doom. I can see that, you know what I mean? But I don't have to be that. Just because I see it, I don't have to be it. You know, that's just my opinion, man.
Good deal. Good deal. Brother Pete, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Top of the morning, my brother, panel, family, audience, Facebook, Morning Glow, DKM Radio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's on your heart about what we're talking about, brother? Talk to me.
What was the question? I'm listening, my dear sister, who know we love her so much. Drop the mic.
Mm-hmm.
What was the exact question or the premise?
In the
context.
Well, the topic is what we started was if we baby our children, we will bury our children, be it in the prison system or in the ground, 6 feet deep. And so a lot of times making excuses for the children and not allowing them to grow to their full potential. We make excuses for everything that they do. And we cover for them, if you will. We baby them and we're going to baby them and baby them to the full grown adults. If we baby our children, we're going to bury our children. How do you feel about that?
I feel like that's absolutely true. And now we have a whole bunch of
your phone is real. AP, your phone is very low, brother.
Can you hear me now?
It's still low. We can hear you, but it's just low.
Real low?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you talking directly into it, or?
Yeah, that's true. And how about, am I getting any louder now?
Yeah.
Any louder now?
Yes. Go ahead, brother. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I agree with that statement, topic, and now we have a bunch of adults, many of them that act like children.
Mm-hmm.
We abandoned the structure of man, woman, and child, family, spirituality, high morals and principles and character. And we acclimated to the lower levels of whatever nonsense and foolishness and degenerative, disrespectful devilment we could put our mind to.
Mm-hmm. And
we're signing up for this nonsense. So here we are as a collective people in a society that have, tends to have an adverse disposition toward us, or seemingly, right? They just mount challenges to us constantly. And it's our job to collectively overcome those challenges. Seem to have kind of taken a pause. And again, it's not full because we're always making strides. We're always doing for ourselves. We're always manufacturing, creating, achieving, right? And inspiring. So we have a segment that has just acclimated themselves to the lower levels of their existence. And they accept it. They sign up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the overwhelming premise that's given to us. But factually, there was a time when we represented the third largest, fourth largest, fifth largest economy in the world. The Spanish-speaking community today is the fifth largest economy in the world, straight out of America. I didn't hear us on the list at all. So we're not understanding that our position is changing, and your potential to build wealth. They're projecting by 2059, our wealth as a collective will be zero.
Mm.
So now that speaks to our condition, our mentality, and our behavior.
Wow.
So if we're not understanding the society we're in, how this society functions, and what you have to do as a group to be a community and function as a community, then we will continue to wane and continue to lose and continue to diminish in this society. And that's just the blatant, brutal reality. And factually, nothing can stop us from doing everything that we can do. Up, you might raise, accomplish all you can, but us. And we have the ability, we have the mentality, we have the resources, but we have to collectively understand how to build power, how to do for self and each other, how to engage commerce as a group, not individuals. Okay? And then practice capitalism, right, with everybody else. We're not collectively understanding that. And it's an all hands on deck effort. If you're a part of a group or formation, if there's two or more of you together, then your behavior and certainly your spending as a consumer has to be in line with the recycling of your dollars in your community until they can't recycle there no more. You have to get something that you need and nobody in your circle sells it, distributes it, has access to it, so you have to go out and get it. It's the only way you spend money out. You have to take back the banks, the grocery stores. You have to have the churches and the mosques put their money in our banks. We have to get those loans from those banks. We have to do the trade work and the maintenance work in our community. We have to do the education in our community. We have to set the community standards in our community. That's all on us. But it's an all hands on deck effort. As long as we're spread out, focusing on everything we can come up with or find out about, and not do the groundwork of building our individual, family, immediate living area, neighborhood, turn it into a community, get some culture, some identity, and reinforce it through your behavior and act like an ethnic group of people while you proclaiming your nationality to reestablish your position and reinforce the culture. Well, then, the projection is by 2059, we all going to be broke.
Wow. We're going to go in this order right here, so everybody be on standby. We're going to go on Rico, Badger, Mr. Hicks, Cap, Navy, and Cassandra. So, Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
First off, let me say thank you to Navy for really just, making it plain and simple what it has. The community does have an impact, and Trend runs the community. Everybody you see out here ripping and running the street, they're keeping up with Trend, ripping and running. But if you are a good parent, we always say, sometimes we say things and then it seems like we forget these things really are supposed to be a part of our life, not just a cliche. It starts at home. What that means is what's out here in this world. You were a child once before. You came out here in this world and experienced things that you couldn't take back home because the expectation was different and the standard was different. And so as you become a parent, like your parent probably was or did, if you pay attention, remember I said the lack of paying attention to some of these children are the reason why they have ADHD, they're exposed to too much stuff and you ain't got no control over because you ain't paying attention. If you pay attention to your child, you're going to notice that they're picking up something that you didn't instill in them. Yeah, we can have all the wealth in the world. But the most important wealth is the thing that we're going to teach them by example and the standards and the expectation. Look, I'm going to make sure I help you with your homework so I can prepare you to be good in school, and I expect you to make A's because I put quality time in.
Rico, hold on for a second.
Sure you got these.
Rico, hold on for a second. I want you to clarify something because I don't want the people that's listening to what we're saying to misconstrue what you just said. You say if you pay attention to your children, you could pick up that whether they have ADHD or something like that. Explain.
I said you could pick up outside behaviors.
Okay.
You know what? You have an expectation in your household.
Yeah.
when you notice your child come in with a different attitude to start saying little words, and where they get that from?
Okay.
Where he hear that from?
Mm-hmm.
If you are really paying attention, you notice they're going to start behaving and doing little things that they didn't get that from me. They didn't get that from you.
Okay.
Oh, they must have got that from Barney. What's that little song they sang? Where they get that from? If you paying attention to your children.
Okay.
That's why I said that earlier. You know, and if anybody don't have it, get that confused, then I don't know, what's going on with that. But they're going to inherit more than material wealth. Now, if they are picking up some things from the community or from social media, and these things are negative, and they are below your standard of expectation, and you are paying attention, then you deal with it and you make a consequence, a repercussion. You let them know that what is not acceptable, because you have a certain expectation. And if you continue this behavior, you won't get these rewards, even though I'm worth $1 billion. We don't accept that. I need you to act like you could be somebody that can run this business. But I don't want you to be a slave master. I don't want you to be a slumlord. I want you to be a businessman of integrity. I want you to uphold his name of this company and what it stands for. So what I want you to do, I ain't just going to give you a trust fund. No. I'm going to let you start at the bottom like I did, so you can understand how to relate to other people and you can have respect. But at the same time, you're going to uphold the standard to earn the right to get this position. Because if I just let you be entitled, you might not understand the consequences behind some of the things you do. We could blame the community as much as we want to. Yes, the community does have an influence.
30 seconds.
When they bring that negative influence or that negative behavior, if they're picking up something good, that's cool. But if they bring home some bad information, some bad behavior, negative, you're going to correct that, because at your home, like we said, it starts at home. You have a standard of expectation. Now, if I'm the type of parent that has a child that come home with a computer and a book and say, hey, I want to learn about asteroids, I want to learn about the galaxy. And I say, man, put that mess down. Let me teach you how to fight dogs. Guess what that child's going to inherit from their father? They're going to inherit dog
fighting. Absolutely.
Unless he invests something different in them and he has a different standard. But if his standard is of excellence and he don't accept nothing less than that, then believe me, the community can have an influence, but you have control to a certain extent to have a bigger influence if you lead by consistent example, and you can catch it if you pay attention.
Good.
So
Stay right there.
The parent has a big part to play in this. You know, we actually do sometimes see parents that influence the negative behavior. I have seen parents that were negative and they wanted their sons to follow in their footsteps, like gang banging.
Good. Stay right there, Rico. Stay right there. We got to keep this thing moving. Hold on. We'll come back to you. Let me go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
I was sitting here and I was thinking, the reason I continue to say the things that I'm saying is I see examples all the time of how, and I'm hearing, the way people are talking about the community. And to me, there is such a fine line of community responsibility and parent responsibility. Last week I shared a video of an amazing woman that volunteered at a high school, in a place that was really, that they needed it. They needed someone that could run the school that couldn't, and the person not be swayed. A person that could, handle all of the nonsense that was being put onto her. And every day she lived by example and treated all of them kids with positivity. And it changed a lot of kids. It helped a lot of kids that were in homes where the parents weren't so good. Oh, she was a parent and her kids grew up. So she took the responsibility of adopting other kids to help them. They weren't her blood,
Mm-hmm.
but she took the time to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the reason I say that I keep bringing up the community thing is, yes, inside my household, I am responsible for how my kids are going to react, engage, and all that stuff with other people. But wouldn't you expect, let's say, you have grandkids, right?
Yes.
And wouldn't you want me to also make sure if they were coming over for a sleepover or something like that, to hold them to the you knowing how I raise my kids, hold them up to the same respect?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that essence, because you're not here, am I also being the parent of that child while they're underneath my house?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm with you.
So to me, that's where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It's the responsibilities we have as adults to acknowledge if they have a mental health or a chemical imbalance and make sure they get the medical help that they need and fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's our responsibility as parents for the kids that we have to do the best we can to raise them to be proper human beings.
Okay. Okay. And I don't think nobody is speaking against that part of it. I don't think anybody's really speaking against that part. It's just that we know that the community itself has been swayed a little bit, if you will. It's been swayed.
Okay. So
hold on. We got to keep moving, brother.
Just real quick.
3 minutes. Go ahead, real quick.
So the parenting of Cassandra,
Mm-hmm.
Navy, Kurt, isn't just within their household.
Mm-hmm.
It's also when they're counseling and helping other kids.
But we can't equate individuals with the whole. You know, there's certain individuals that's doing great things.
You get to the point that I'm getting to.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Hold on, but let me go here. We're gonna go to Mr. Hicks. We're gonna go Mr. Hicks. We're gonna go to Captain. We're gonna go Navy and Cassandra, and then we're gonna keep circling it from there. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir? 3 minutes.
Oh wow, yeah, 3 minutes. I want to piggyback off what Rico was saying, and I think he might be doing it from just having a spiritual insight. But going through the situation with my son, my youngest son, that the whole experience, it was so traumatic. It was a challenge to the family, and ultimately it broke the marriage because there was. I guess it's hard to recognize as a parent where you failed at, and it was like coming to grips. I came to it quicker than my wife, and I was trying to always guide her to see how we were responsible and how we could do, how we could, as it's going to be difficult now to do the things that would change because we missed it. You know, from 1 to 7 and 1 9, the children are shaped. They're shaped so firmly. Their mind is grasping, and so it was traumatic. Just recognizing that we didn't give him attention, and that's what for all the reasons I was working away. She was a little resentful about how life had dealt with this hand a late child, and all those things. But down to we really didn't give him the attention that he needed when he needed it, and that's a real terrible thing to face inside yourself. You know, and not make excuses, just not judging yourself with it, but just looking at it as a reality, a fact. We didn't give him the attention he needed when he needed it. That's rough.
Wow.
But you know, and that's ultimately, I call it taking responsibility. And that's what changed him. And it even just now, just how you deal with this person now, when he's acting out at a different age, and he's just not pairing out like the other ones, and you feel like, well, it ain't me. I mean, look, I did good with all the other ones, so it's something with him. I said, yes, something with him, but here's the systemic reason of that. Here's the causes of that. They don't you can't go back and change, but it makes you adjust how you deal with the problem that you're part of, that you created. You just can't throw your hands up and say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No.
But great talk. I'm listening. I get a lot of insight about this, but it's just stirring up all of those old food. Makes you recognize when the family have a challenge in their family. Someone being gay or someone taking a course you don't want. It's a challenge to the family, and it's easy within families, and that's where the weakness is. The family is not strong as they used to be. We throw up our hands on it. We just say, I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal. And it's not a judgment, because we're all facing the economy, trying to survive, and all the stuff that's going on. But the core is the family, and that's where we lost the strength at, right there in the family.
Absolutely. Good deal. Cap, what's on your heart, sir? I'm sorry, Ms. Hicks, you finished your thought?
Oh, yes, I'm done.
Okay, good.
Now, especially I want to hit Brother Captain now.
Go ahead, Cap, what's on your heart? 3 minutes.
Well, I'm so sorry. I was dealing with some issues. I got off. I didn't get a chance to hear a lot of the people's comments. I know they was brilliant comments. Anthony, so I'm sorry, but I'm just have to deal with issues. What do you want me to address?
What we actually,
I think everybody said it like Curtis said. We saying the same thing, man. I mean,
let me
anything particular you want?
Yeah, I'm going to throw some at you right now.
We recognize
who is really in, and we're talking about right now. We're actually talking about the community and what's going on in the community. So I'm gonna ask you this question: who is really taking responsibility in the community?
I think, Brother Raheem, everybody on this line, everybody in the community, everybody's in the country. It has to take some accountability for the condition of our community. And I can't say our community and don't include myself. I have to take responsibility. We're not talking outside the box. We're addressing a problem that is facing, our community. If I hear Badger every now and then, Badger would use the word y'all. So the key is we agree. We agree that the morals, the values, the standards of morality and principles, we don't have that in the community. The word norms comes from the root. The word normal comes from the root word norms. The word norms mean established rules of conduct and behavior. We do not have established rules of conduct and behavior. We used to. In Harlem, New York, they used to say, man, you couldn't even walk down the street in Harlem, New York, unless you was dressed up. Established rules of conduct and behavior. It used to be, man, you didn't respect the elderly. Once upon a time, established rules of conduct and behavior. It used to be you didn't kiss in the public. Established rules of conduct and behavior. We all agree on this line. We keep saying it. We don't have them no more. Now, the key is we at fault? Did every one of us on this line have to accept some accountability? Yes. But where do we go from here? How do we put order back into the community? When you take the man out of the home, you destroy the structure of the community. The woman has done a fantastic job, but if I lost my arm, then I'm a handicap. Oh, I can function with one arm, but it ain't like with two. We can't ignore the role of the man. And who's going to hold him responsible? Us men have to hold each other's responsible. So we have a community that's out of order. How are we going to get it, Raheem, back in order? What is the role that everybody on this line going to play? All of us think we're doing the job. I got the peacekeeper. I think, well, I'm doing the peacekeeper. I'm doing it's just good something. I'm counseling, Brother Chris. I'm doing that. Everybody can say that. That's good. Fine. We get a clap. We get an applause for that. But we can sit here and go all day long and recognize we got to bring our community back in order. And we first must do it by building a family up again. And we got to stop pointing fingers. Well, it's the man's responsibility. He is better than yes. But the women's, you got to accept your responsibility. And we're not going to point our fingers. Because a man is a man, and I refuse. I refuse to blame a woman for anything I do. Because I'm a man. So what are we going to do?
Exactly.
We need to establish rules of conduct and behavior. We need, look here, I can take the brothers, everyone, Paul, if all of us men on this line. If I was in the same city, we was all in the same city, Rico and Curtis, and I'm looking at all the 10 brothers on right here, brothers. I said, okay, brother, look at y'all. Let's go in the court. See them brothers over there, them young ones, they're over the springer door. Let's all of us go over there. Okay, Cap. Now we go over there on the corner. Hey, what's up, young brother? What's going on? Hey, what's up, OGs? What's going on here? No, brother, we just over here, man, to show some love. We over here, man, try to be present for people. We over here to make sure our elderly is safe. We want to know under your charge, over here all the time. Is our elderly safe under your watch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Nobody gonna do nothing to our elderly. There you go. And then what we need to talk to you about. We have not told them acceptable behavior. We have not told these young men, brother, it's not acceptable behavior to refer to your woman as bees. That's not acceptable. Nobody in a group of men told those men that. It's not acceptable behavior to sell dope in your community, my brother. That's not acceptable behavior. Well, man, I got to do. And if you want to sell dope, there's another community called the white community. I'm sure ain't nobody in there selling dope. You go now, you be the first dope dealer over there. But you can't do it here, brother. We have not done that. We could point fingers at our youth, but we have failed to show them established rules of conduct and behavior. So all of us on this line take some accountability. I blame everybody. I'm through. I didn't land the plane.
Good deal. Let me go to Navy. Navy, what's on your heart? And like I said, I'm going to the order. I'm circling around to everybody. We got quite a few people here, so please be patient with me. Navy, what's on your heart?
I don't know. I'm just kind of listening and taking in at this point. I mean, I can agree. We all have some accountability. We're all playing a role in trying to correct or bring back some of these customs. But I mean, to some degree, I also feel like, I don't know. It's not going to be an easy fix. And it's not like I'll go back to what I said earlier. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a cookie cutter approach that we can take to this. It's not just one answer or one solution that's going to fix it, but we have to start somewhere. We have to start executing, more importantly, the solutions that we are given. So that's all I got for right now.
Okay, good deal. Cassandra?
Yeah, I go back, to what I said, and I agree with Navy. The way that I would approach, finding solutions is going to be different because of the type of people that the clientele or the people that I deal with. But I definitely know that it's not going to be cookie cutter because our communities are so divided now and people are so disconnected. Most people, just being honest, you don't know probably all of the neighbors on your block because people don't interact with each other like they used to. You would have to get out there. I agree with Kat with this. You're going to have to bring those people together if they want to even talk to you. Or it's just different, and the approach is going to have to be different. And I agree with Navy on this part. It is not cookie cutter. It is not going to be one size fits all. I totally agree with that. So that's all I have.
Okay, good deal. Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. We're talking about right now we're talking about responsibility in the community and the demise of the community. Whose responsibility is it to lift the community back to where it once was? Or is that even possible?
Well, let me address the fact that, one, I believe in individual responsibility. If you take a bunch of responsible individuals and put them together, you have a responsible community. But you have to start off with responsible individuals. I think the way that some people dream about it may be not as effective. Because, one, the notion that, you should ignore a person's individuality and address them from a community perspective, I think that's just a little over romanticized. There are people that have problems, and their problems have to be resolved. They have to have a better way to deal with their lives as they are. And so individuals need to focus on their own mental health, their own ability to contribute to a community.
Mm-hmm.
So, this notion that somehow somebody bears the blame for somebody else, I don't go along with that at all. Because I'm not guilty of anything for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing in your life, I don't know. I only know what you're doing when you do it based on what I see you doing. So if you're coming to community meetings, if you're doing this and you're doing that, I know that you're working towards something. I know that we may have something in common along that line. But I'm not into that whole romance of when it comes down to the individual level, that somehow it's some magic spell that you put on somebody to make them better people.
Mm-hmm.
And the notion that you're going to be better simply because of the color of your skin, I think is far-fetched.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll read what Paul said. Paul says, we need investments in the places most affected by wicked history of white supremacy. America owes at least that much. America owes at least that much. Toy, you want to tell what's on your heart, sis?
Yeah. So, we got to keep in mind that there's an art and a science to everything. And I've said this before, that when it comes to correcting our communities, we need a whole new campaign. You see how they did that COVID campaign?
Mm-hmm.
How they do the AIDS campaign? The war on drugs campaign? They run campaigns for a reason. And the only way that we are going to reverse this curse is to use the same formula that they have. Just different products, different antidotes. And it's a requirement for a campaign. So why can't we get strong dads on commercials? Everything that we know they don't want to promote because it's going to help. Why don't we do it? And you're right. Captain said it earlier. We have a lot of conversations, but what actually helps? Well, the first rule of thumb, we're not even going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That model right there shows you how to get people back in your clutches. Not going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to talk about something like what Linda said a few minutes ago, the simple basics. The simple basics that people are in need of in order to even remotely closely listen. And in order for us to change our communities, the first step is we got to start where we are. How you going to start with somebody else's kid, but your kid's still running around here raping,
mm-hmm.
stealing, selling drugs? So one comment was right. We got to have responsible adults first and foremost, because we keep making it seem like kids out of control. But who run the TVs? Adults. Who run the radios? Adults. Who run the centers, hospitals? Adults. So kids only have so much power. So again, this is where the campaign comes in. The campaign to save, the campaign to restore, the campaign to make things right. Because again, we talk about all these different tactics. And I was talking to Rico about this the other day. The Columbine kids, do we think they came from an at-risk environment? Some of these kids that's created some of these mass shootings, and even some of these older white men that's created some of these mass shootings, they don't come from the typical definition of an at-risk environment.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? So we can't specialize all of the wickedness in the world and put it per community, right? Because I don't think white supremacy had nothing to do with some of the white guys who went and shot up schools. It was wicked and anger, so let's just keep it at that. But in order to do it, how do we reverse it? We start where you are. You start like me. I start on my nieces and nephews, and I hold them accountable. Boy, I bet not catch you, do this, that, and third, because I'm coming for you. You ain't got to worry about the white folks or the police.
Mm-hmm.
And we have lost that. We have lost leadership in our own households. I have people talk now even like their own kids.
Good Lord.
And then they go
Good
get
Lord.
that. So see, these are some of the problems that we experience on the why. And last thing, so you don't come from a so-called at-risk household. You have parents that raise you decently. Your community's not that bad, but you still keep coming up with things that are so-called insane. Now let's keep in mind, when we do negative things, 9 times out of 10 we consider that to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Robbing, stealing, lying, cheating, and we keep forgetting about the effects of this lead poisoning water. Look at Camp Lejeune. If you bathe in it, if you take a bath in it, then it can kill you. So now here we are again. The government has thrown all these other distractions. Oh, it's the parents. Oh, it's the community. Oh, it's the this. But let's talk about the simple structure of America that helps contribute to some of the insanity, the things that we do. Now, no matter what we do, we can do a campaign, we can do rehab. If our infrastructure is the poison that is causing our brains to act this way, how are we going to change? If it's not about at-risk homes, if it's not about, where you come from or how you raise,
30 seconds.
Then there's another option or another influence, and we need to not forget about the infrastructural influences that has an effect on mental health. And if we put in the proper steps or use the proper art and science and it's not corrected, then we need to go back to what the possible influence is. And I need us all to really think about this and do research on this when we talk about some of the things that happen, especially in underprivileged communities. It's not about upbringing all the time. Let's really think about this infrastructure, this lead poisoning. Look at the results that it caused. Look at how some people are getting lawsuits. Let's look at asbestos. There are a multitude of things that America has done wrong that is also contributing to our community's failure. So let's keep that in mind too. We have to look at all options and not just from the parental or school or police point of view. Some of this is infrastructurally political, and we need to keep that in mind.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Pete. Pete, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Exactly. Same thing Sis was saying. We have to get rid of the victim mentality. We have to get rid of thinking somebody owes us something too. Listen, we have to go out and get it for ourselves. They're not going to concede their power. They're not going to educate you to overcome them. They're not going to teach you how to do anything that threatens their positioning, their power, their wealth, nothing. They're not going to do that for you. You have to do that for yourself, collectively. Any challenge that comes against you, you have the ability to challenge that challenge and beat that challenge, overcome that challenge, confront that challenge without begging, pleading, and making excuses. Power only conceives a more powerful demand. That's it. So we have to understand that level of reality and stop making excuses. Stop feeling like if you do something for yourself, you're doing something wrong. If you're determined to support entities that benefit you and not everybody else outside of you first, nothing wrong with that. That's what you should do. It's not racism or none of that. Like I say, you do business with others where you have to, but you do business with who you can when you can, right? So keep that stuff in rotation in your community. It's truly us coming with the best of our intellect and our ability and doing what's best for us while living peacefully as much as we can possibly with everybody else.
Wow.
So we have to understand as a collective, we know that we should know the history of our experience in this society years ago. Many different stories when it would seem like things were way worse. They did much better, but they had a mindset to do. What's the scripture in the Bible when it talks about how the people had a mind?
Yes.
Come on now.
Exactly.
God bless the people's effort because of the people's mind. I'm not about to start preaching. I'm just saying, where's your mind? Where's your heart? What are you focusing on? Yes, absolutely. We always say individual and collective responsibility. But where are we focusing that on? With many of our formation spiritual institutions, they feel as if they're blaspheming against God if they talk about their everyday issues. They don't even want to deal with that. They're scared to deal with that. They're scared to call Biden out. They're scared to call, Trump out. They're scared to speak to the governor. Scared to go down and talk to the mayor. Straighten the alderman and the city council out. Make sure the school board is operating right. Has the right resources. Come on, working on truancy. Just everyday things. So we have the ability to confront the issues, the situations, circumstances that confront us. But do we have the heart, mind, and spirit?
Come on.
To do what is necessary to overcome it? That's the problem. And are we self and collectively determined to to improve ourselves, our
30
family,
seconds.
our neighborhood, and turn them into community. And then orchestrate our existence in this society from a collective standpoint of power, not conversation, not begging and pleading. Like I say, we asked for the George Floyd police reform bill. They slapped you and called you a $2 whore, not a prostitute. Prostitute provides a service for compensation. A whore just gives it away. And they slapped all of us like $2 whores and urinated in our mouths and gave us a holiday for Juneteenth. And we jumping around like bunny rabbits in a field of cherries or something and cabbage, like we really done got something. Well, you better get your mind right. You better get your focus right. You had better understand the reality of your condition and do everything you can to improve it. And don't make no excuses about what he, her, it, them, those, there, or whatever did. Do what you're supposed to do.
Okay. Now hold on, preacher. Give a preacher mic. Hold on, preacher. Preacher, you know we got to keep it moving.
2 seconds and I'm gone. Sometimes you got to deal with stuff directly. You got to deal with law directly. You have to confront some things face to face to get some clarity. And sometimes you just have to be what you are, a flesh and blood sentient being, and take a stand as a being. If I can talk to you and we get an understanding, great. If I have to slap you upside your head, then slap them upside the head. Do whatever is necessary. Stop making excuses. Stop taking the weak point.
Good deal. Good deal. Now, Pete, we got Pete.
Everything to be disunified about.
Now, hold right there, brother. Hold right there. We got to keep it moving. Got to keep it moving. And Paul said, there is more power if we build a coalition of all races. Just saying. That's his quote. Said he ended it by saying, "Just saying." So let me go to Tucson. Tucson, are we really interested? Is everybody as a whole really interested in rebuilding the community, or some people just have no interest in that area at all?
Well, everybody was talking the parts that I heard. You know what I thought about? I thought about jumping out in high traffic. With no traffic guard, no red light, no stop sign. Everybody going in their own direction. You have the chances of getting ran over. And that's the type of, just about the type of society we live in. Everybody's own way, everybody's own purpose and cause, their own direction, high traffic, and everybody's going somewhere, but you don't know where they're going. So you jump out there and try to do something. Well, you might get ran over. Unless you do something to say, everybody just stop. Everybody. So Paul, maybe that might be a good thing. That if you get everybody from every whatever direction they're going, whatever they believe, whatever thoughts they may have, just like we do on the Morning Glow, just take our time and say, okay, let's just talk about it. I know talk don't do anything. We like to meet. Meet don't do anything. You got to do something. But first you got to get them to stop. We doing stuff. Everybody's doing stuff. I look at, y'all ever scroll on the internet and look and see the most popular thing, and maybe that's not the only thing, but I see a lot of young women, they get close to the camera, they have tight garments on, and they just shake that thing like a sauce pickle.
Oh Lord, Tucson. I'm
trying to just point that out, not to be critical.
Okay.
But can't we just all stop? I'm sorry. I got to throw something out there. But anyway, I'm just saying, can't we all just consider? I know you have your own agenda. I know you're doing your own thing. That's perfect. That's good. You're going to head where you're going. But if you don't, you ever saw what happens when you have a traffic jam?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are.
Wow.
We can't get where we're trying to go because in the midst of everybody's doing their own thing and going in their own direction, having their own purpose and cause, we've had a traffic jam. Because nobody paid no attention to anything nobody else was doing. Can we just stop since we're here and figure out how we can get this thing to unjam itself?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought that's what I thought about.
Good deal. That's good. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We definitely love to have your input. We transitioned over. Everybody's talking about the community. We started off on one point, and now we've actually transitioned over to we're talking about the community and how we can improve on the community. Now, we started out talking about we actually started out talking about the kids. We started out talking about the kids, and if you don't treat them right, you're gonna bury them. I'm trying to get the proper verbiage here. If you baby them, you bury them. If you baby them, you bury them. Is where we started. So Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Well, it goes back to that. It was an important question asked, and I don't know if it got around to that yet. Captain Dennis asked, how can we start changing the community?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts once again with the individual, like Leonard said. But then it also starts at home deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an individual, once you get yourself figured out, and if you are in order, then you do that same thing with your children.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a standard that you live by.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look at it like this.
That's good.
When you raise a child to go out into the community, you can actually have somebody that will be that next leader or influencer.
Mm-hmm.
See, they don't have to, when you pay attention to them and put into them, think about this. Jeffrey Dahmer, his parents didn't know that he was killing animals and doing stuff like that when he was young. They didn't pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
So when it was time to let him go and send him out into this world, they sent somebody out into this world that was unprepared. He had a different standard.
Mm-hmm.
During his out of time, he picked up some deviant behaviors. Later on, they started picking them up, and they probably said, well, you know what? We need to get him some help. We need to get him some therapy. Now, imagine Jeffrey Dahmer's parents taking him to a counselor, and they telling him what he's doing, and then they say, well, you know what? You need to spend more time with him. He had too much time on his own. He shouldn't be out in the woods by himself, finding dead animals, playing with them for hours and hours, and then being able to smuggle them into the house. You too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
How you got dead animals in the house up under your bed? You ain't checking in. How much time you spending with little Jeffrey? Now, if somebody came in and did that, if his parents came in to talk to a counselor and that counselor went to talk about the community, ain't that something? That means there ain't nothing gonna change because he still ain't getting where his source of standard is being built. It ain't. I mean, this is his primary care. He had a mother and a father. So I don't want to talk about race. I don't want to talk about single mothers and talk about single fathers. I'm talking about the responsibility of parents, instilling in them and the children inheriting from them how to work around and get along in this world morally with some type of integrity. Mm-hmm. Upstanding men and women, young boys and children. We got adults having babies, and we got children having children and babies having babies.
Mm-hmm.
These conditions exist. But we have to also let these people know, number one, you have to be very responsible as a parent. There's a reason for this. Because you are somehow responsible for how this person turns out.
Mm-hmm.
starting at a very young age. You're somehow responsible about what this child is interested in at a very young age, and you're also responsible for the consequences of how they act when they go in public. But letting these young children know, even if they can comprehend it, number one, they started out wrong, but it ain't too late, because now you have a huge responsibility. As a parent, you have so much power. As a parent, you are so important. As a parent, you have so much influence. The way if you do live in this hood where all this chaos is going on and all you hear is sirens all the time, when you get in your household, you can talk about Martin Luther King Jr. You can create a new trend. See, society is built on trends. They can easily be influenced by that trend. But if they have the right access and exposure and understand the reward behind doing the right thing, and they know not to fall weak for those trends because they understand really truly what works for you can work for them, then they can be the new trendsetters. See, we have to, this word abomination, I'm just going to use it because a lot of people still use it the wrong way. Teaching your son to sell dope is an abomination. Having your son want to join a gang and follow in your footsteps is an abomination. It don't mean you're going to hell, but it's unacceptable.
30 seconds.
But if you have a certain standard for your son as a man, a respectable man of integrity and character, then you will have a standard that they will carry with them in public, the way you won't have to get bad news from them or other people saying, I saw your son doing this. You know, the woman made a post the other day. Y'all, what I'm going to do with my son? He's 5 years old and he asked for some $700 Balenciagas. Well, Facebook can't do nothing. But the thing is, you might need to pull away the things he are being exposed to and put him around somebody that can teach him how to throw a ball, ball up a fist and fight, do a push-up or a sit-up. Because the way it sounded at 5 years old, if this is what his standard is, and this is the standard, if you didn't give it to him, then you need to take him away from whoever putting that in him, because that is out of order.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that he needs to know at 5 years old right now, that if he don't get this now, he'll probably never get it later on. And he'll be worse than what he is now, wanting $700 Balenciaga tennis shoes. And so, I mean, you have to ask your question. Who have you allowed him to have access and exposure to? Who put this value system in here?
Good deal.
And as a
Gotta
parent,
keep it moving.
you have too much power to let that happen without influencing them or exposing them to something better or more, I'm going to say, more important.
Good deal. All right, preacher. Hold right there, preacher. We got to keep this thing going. Badger, Kurt, Leonard, Willa, and then we're going to Navy. So let's go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
Oh, man. What was the most recent question? There was so much said.
Community.
Oh, shit. It exists sometimes. Man.
Do you think people are even interested in bringing the community back? Let me throw a question at you.
No, I think people are too selfish. There's too much. There's so much corruption and concern and worry, fear that so many people deal with. You know, they don't want to see their kids be hurt. They don't want to, they don't want their kids to come back home and go, how come the neighbor said that, drinking so much is not good, and start questioning their parents and their parents' behavior. People don't want to deal with that. People are going to tell you to stay in your lane. And that's in every community. So it's just one of those things of what's acceptable anymore. People don't want to trust each other for the most part. There's so much.
Can they?
I mean, I guess it depends on the person. Like I could trust you and Leonard and some of the people on the panel and stuff to take care of my kids. So if I was y'all's neighbor, I'd trust y'all. So I think there are people you can trust, but the community as a whole, you'd have to see how the community interacts with one another. Is it a community where, you go, hey, we're gonna have a community potluck, and everyone chips in. You don't really hear about a bunch of drama or nothing like that. But that's almost dreaming nowadays, or that's what it feels like. Essentially, you pretty much have to find people that are like-minded as you, and all the group decides to go, all right, we're going to go buy a piece of property and build our own little community because, $500,000 for everyone having to buy a house is too expensive. But if everyone chips in, we can all be taken care of. People, that's a dream. And our government definitely will fight to keep us from being like that.
Wow.
So, and that's also an unfortunate truth, but it's up to the individual if they allow it to be like that or not. So there's
30 seconds.
It can be very complex based on the individual. There's a lot of messed up things in the world. The difference is as an individual who's responsible for themselves and to others, through my opinion and perspective, what are you going to let control you? What is your narrative?
Absolutely. Curtis, are you with us, Curtis?
Yeah, man, I'm right here.
Is there any interest in rebuilding and remanufacturing the community, whereas we all look out for each other, we take care of each other, man, and we trust each other to do what is right? Is there any interest in that, Curtis?
No.
Wow. That's it? Okay. I was gonna say that's it. Okay, go ahead, brother.
There ain't no money in it, right?
There
ain't no money in that. Listen, this is just my opinion, all right? You can take it how you want to take it, but I'm going to say it like it is. There is a concerted effort to keep the poor poor. Although the economic buying power is within the impoverished community. That's where the spending power is. There is a concerted effort to keep the poor poor. The poor are the only people that you can not only, if you're a business owner, you can not only get the money that they work for, but you can also get government money. When you're dealing with the middle class, upper middle class, and or the wealthy, and you're thinking in terms of getting their money, getting them to purchase something, you're only getting one purchasing power because they're pseudo wealthy. So they're not getting any additional monies from the government outside of taxes. With the poor, you're getting tax money, you're getting earned income money, you're getting welfare money, you're getting Medicaid money, Medicare money, you're getting all of that at one time. There's no money, there's no benefit in having a community be a community again. That's why we are going through what is called redlining 2.0. You know, and to be just blatantly honest, you cannot I get it, man. I'm a strong and fervent believer of what the brother Leonard said when Leonard said something about personal responsibility. I'm a strong and fervent believer in personal responsibility. I'm a strong and fervent believer in personal accountability. But all at the same time, I
have to pay attention to the precipitating factors for which I am asking my people to hold themselves personally accountable and personally responsible for. We talk about black businesses and we need to do this as a black people, and we need to do that, and we need to do this. Well, are we not accounting for 1921? Are we not accounting for the Hebrew brothers? Are we not accounting for Mike Tyson? Are we not accounting for Bill Cosby? Are we not accounting? Here's my question. Listen, I don't disagree with nothing nobody got to say. I just want to expand on it. Are we not accounting for Jay-Z? Because he's supposed to have way more money than he got. They shut that down. Are we not accounting for Puffy? He's supposed to have way more money than he got. They shut that down. Are we not accounting for Tupac, Biggie?
Good deal.
What I'm saying is, are we not accounting for the precipitating factors that make somebody have to do what Snoop Dogg did years ago? Are you going to sink or you going to swim? Which one is it? You going to roll over?
Good deal. Got to keep it moving, Curtis. Wrap it up, brother.
Go ahead.
Wrap it up.
Or are we going to roll over? Are we going to roll over, play dead, or are we going to roll over and die?
Wow.
See, my scope of thought is, okay, if you want the community back, first and foremost, if you want the attention of the children and you want the children to return from whence they came back to their parents, then what has to happen today is that the parents have to show the kids that they are willing to fight and die for the same community that you want.
Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. I'm gonna go in this direction right here. I'm going Paul. I'm going to Paul, Leonard, Willa, Navy, and then I'm going to Mary. Paul, what's on your heart, brother? Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I wasn't expecting to be next. Okay. Let's see. I wrote a couple notes here. There's so many good points were brought up. Yeah, there's like, kind of what Curtis was talking about. Like, there's this sort of like a fine line you have to straddle between the history that's happened, that's undeniable, and the reality that exists today. And that's, Willa brought that up last week. She said something like, if you're looking backwards, you can't move forward, or something like that. Something like that. But the original conversation about how babying kids and all that.
Yes.
I think that's pretty important. But kids are just exposed to just the worst stuff now. I teach upper elementary, so like I've taught 3rd, 4th, 5th, and like a couple years ago, when WAP was a big hit, I had little girls, knowing the lyrics to that song. That's insane, and that's in the mass media culture, and that's not good. That is not good for anybody at all. So yeah, we have to build these communities that are struggling, and it's not just Black communities. Certainly, Black communities, certain Black communities are struggling. I always have to step back and go, we tend to stereotype when we say the Black community. Well, that's not one community. It's a lot of different people. But, the ones who are struggling the most. So white, Hispanics, all kinds of people who are struggling right now. So we need to help all those people. There's a YouTube channel, I think I might have brought it up before. It's called Soft White Underbelly. It's a guy, he's a photographer. He interviews like people on the street all over the country. He talks to whites, Blacks, whoever. And you hear the stories about the stuff they've gone through, and you're just like, this is horrible. Why can't we do better? Why can't this country do better with all the wealth we have here? So, I guess my last thing is about what Pete said about, about like, kind of like, it seems like I've heard this from other people about building power within the Black community, but it's like I think you have to build coalitions, right? Because I think that's where Malcolm X was later in his life, you know, and that's where Martin was pretty much his whole life. Is like you have to build coalitions because you know there are people that want to keep everyone separated, and that's how you weaken people, when you keep them separated. So that's how I feel about it.
Good deal. Good deal. Leonard?
Well, you know, I pretty much, you know, agree with anything that fosters progress. However, I have a question. What community are you talking about?
They bought the community. I was talking about actually I was talking about the little how you if you baby your child, you'll kill your child. That was my thing. The community is transitioned to the community, so maybe they're talking about different ones. I don't know. What did you gather from it?
Well, it seems as if some people are talking about, which they usually commonly do, segregation. And there I hear another conversation about morality. Then I hear another conversation about community as it relates to choices. So first of all, we need to clarify community. It's overused and it's used out of place. You say do they want to go back to community? What community are you talking about going back to?
Well, when you ask me that question, I'm talking about what we always collective. Well, if you outside playing, and the community looked out for the children that's outside playing, I've been paying attention for the last 4 or 5 years or whatever. On Christmas Day, I remember when Christmas came, man, we be out outside playing. I don't care how cold it is. We wrap up real good outside playing, riding bikes and doing everything that we could do. All the kids want to be outside playing. Now it's Christmas time outside is like a ghost town now, man. But there was a time where, you know, when Christmas time came,
a way to I have to clarify because it's a way to explain a lot of things. But people have to realize things have changed. And they've not changed. You know, you can say, well, it's worse this way and it's worse that way. Why you want to go back? What you going back to? You have to explain that to me because some of us haven't been there.
My thing is what I'm talking about going back to, and I can verbalize from my standpoint. I'm talking about where there's a unity in the community where if I'm outside playing, Lil Raheen outside playing and Lil Raheen act up in some kind of way, my neighbor had the right, you know, to chastise me, talk to me, and make sure that I'm not even spank my behind and let me know that I'm doing wrong and send me home.
Oh, okay, that's clarification I'm looking for because I don't want to go there. That's not my community.
Y'all didn't have it in Saginaw. Y'all didn't have that in Saginaw. That type community.
Well, I don't know about other people, but nobody was allowed to put their hands on me. I don't care how well you knew me. So there's a lot of things that when people be talking about, we need to go back where? Because I haven't been there. And I don't know what some of you are talking about. And that's how you lose young people and you lose anybody else listening when you don't clarify what you're saying. So when people go back, oh, my antenna go up. Back where? You're not going back nowhere with you. So you're going to have to come a little bit more correct if you're trying to get me to buy into whatever it is you're selling.
Those were the
days. Are you trying to sell monogamous relationships? Are you selling working and taking care of a family? Are you selling being honest? Are you selling more morals and values as it relates to how you treat your neighbor? Are you selling that?
That was a part of it. That's a whole piece. That's a slice of the pie, brother. That's a slice of the pie. When I say community, all that is a slice of the pie.
Somebody came from your community and all this. No, we don't have that much in common. That's why it's so elusive. We all need to do. We all ain't gonna do nothing. That is not the nature of humanity.
Well, see, and the thing about it, and one of the beauties of it is this. And yeah, the conversation is everybody got the reason why the conversation is that way because everybody got their own perspective as to what they feel about community. Everybody, you know, I can ask everybody on this call right now, on this broadcast right now. I can ask everybody what they think about community. You may have some similarities, but I guarantee you, everybody's view is not going to be the same. It's
Right,
not.
but there are things that we can commune around.
Yes, absolutely. I said similarities.
And so community, we have to take into consideration that Paul's idea of community may not be that.
Mm-hmm.
He may not have no clue of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the notion that he has, well, can't we all just get together and talk about things? No, we can't, because one, you have to atone for the wrong that has been done. And if any white person comes to a black conversation with nothing but reparations on their lips, I guarantee you, you're not welcome.
Okay. Let's keep this thing moving. Man. We got this is good. Willow, what's on your heart? Willow, then we're gonna go to Navy. I think we may have lost Navy, but we're gonna try to go to Navy and Mary, and then we're gonna go to Toya with a T. So Willow, what's on your heart?
Put Hicks in there.
Good morning, Rob.
I got you, brother. Good morning.
Good morning, morning.
Willow.
Good morning.
I gotta say it. Willow.
You're so silly, right? But I got on the live when Rico was talking, and I mean, hit everything on the nail when you're talking about how our children are being babied now, and I just believe that it's we're the blame. The generation before that is the blame, because a lot of people that I know say, you know what, I'm not going to raise my children like my parents did. I hear a lot of that, because sometimes they feel like their parents did something wrong if they forced them to church, if they forced them to do things that they didn't want to do and trained them the right way. I hear that the world has moved into a different place. I hear that. But we could take that and make it something positive. But what happens nowadays is the parents don't really want to be bothered with the children. They get them these iPads, these iPhones. I mean, you could go anywhere at a table. We're sitting at a table. All of them got their phones. When my grandchildren sitting at the table with me, I make them put their phones away, because we've lost the intimacy as a family. And when you were talking about a community, I know what that was like, because I had community. I was living in a neighborhood on Polk and Arlington where people cared about each other. It's not so much that people didn't want to mind their business, but they understood caring about somebody else's child that they knew. And that's the difference. That's something that we've lost.
Yes.
Now, on our block where I live at now, in my community, they have block clubs. They have what you call block clubs. So they come up with things to try to help the area that they live in, like the cameras. Mostly everybody in my neighborhood have rings and have cameras. We do that to try to help, the crime, if we have any, which we do, to be to solicit to the police or whatever like that. And then when we have meetings, because we have block club meetings, and what they'll do is they'll bring up some, do you know this person? Because we saw this person, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I do believe in my area. I can't say for everywhere, but I know here in Illinois, in Chicago, where I am right now, on the north side of Chicago, we are trying to rebuild the community where we care about one another. And I believe that's the question that you're asking, Raheem. Now, I don't know where anybody else stays, but I thank God that I got my neighbor that when I'm going out of town, they're watching my property. You know what I'm saying, Raheem?
Yes.
So I hope I've answered your question.
You certainly did. We're gonna keep this thing going. And Navy, I think we lost Navy. Mary, good morning. How you doing this morning? Mary?
Good morning.
Good morning to you. We talking about community and how the community have changed. And are people really interested in going back to what it used to be, where we actually cared for each other and took care of each other as a community? What do you say to that, Mary?
I wasn't around during that time, so can't really speak on that. But I think some people want to care about people. I don't know if my child is playing and something happens, tell me don't put your hands on my child. But some people don't mind that. I mean, I feel like it depends on what you want to do as a parent, but I'd rather me scold my child than you scold my child, because if you do it wrong, I have a problem. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it depends on what you're talking about. I feel like it depends on, I have to know all the conditions, because caring about and watching out for other people is fine, but it's the extent you go to that can make it an issue. I feel like, and I wasn't around during the time where everybody, you go outside. I didn't even like going outside as a child, so I don't know that time. I wasn't experiencing that.
Good deal. Let me go. We're gonna go in this order right here. We're gonna go. We got Toya with a T, K with an E, and then we're going to Mr. Hicks. We got two ladies before you, Mr. Hicks. Then we're gonna let you follow it up. So let's go to Toya with a T. Toya with a T. What's on your heart, sis?
Hey, what you do to that girl? She ain't want to go outside. What you do to that baby? No, I'm just playing.
That's my baby girl right there.
That's right. That's your baby girl, and she didn't want to go outside. That's how we change. Was there something specific that you did? No, maybe that's just Mary, because she's a little human, and she ain't going to do and feel the way you feel just because she your daughter or your child. And that's what happens when we have kids. We change, we grow, we be different. Now, people still look out for your house, and this is how we gotta be real careful with the world, and not let the devil distract us and make us think, oh, all these things is going wrong. People still look out for your house. People still get snitched on today. The culture's changed. Don't snitch. I just had a conversation the other day. They said, "Toy, you tattletale." You damn right, I tattletale. Hey. What? Yes, that's right. You tattletale. We're not gonna pick and choose when I'm 7. Don't tattletale. And then when I get 17, I done seen this now. All of a sudden, Mama said don't tattletale. That's snitching. We don't know what we did to our kids. We don't know it. Navy said it earlier. We don't want to focus that we the problem. Oh, I thought I told you don't drink and drive, but every time you took them out to dinner, you was drinking and driving, goofy. Oh, you told them no. You ain't got to sit in the back, sit in the front. What the law say? Don't the law say that a child's supposed to be in the child seat, but you letting them sit up front? So we are breaking and living life recklessly in front of these children, and they say, well, why don't you listen? Hell, why don't you listen? Sorry, Stephen. Why don't you listen?
To wash your mouth out.
And this is the cycle that we are going through. First of all, for you to look at my child, you ain't got to put your hands on them. Let's get that right. Let's go back and let's talk about this beating thing again. And it needs to be handled with care. You ain't got to beat everybody for everything, but there are some times when you just need a good whooping. But along with that, you ain't beating your own. This is how we got discombobulated, because you ain't beating your own child. Our families are torn apart. We don't trust from the family. The sister can't whoop this kid because you don't whoop your own kid. And then we went to an era in the 90s that was on a talk show. You told your friend called your friend a B word, and now you spank them, and your friend say, you better not put your hands on my child. You know why? You better not put your hands on the child, because the mama was the one calling you the B word. So a lot of us can't even identify with some of these things, because these are the things that we indulge in. These are the things that we do. You know how many friends I got, and I told them then, you shouldn't be doing that with your kids. Oh, you ain't got no kids. You know what you're talking about. You know how many years later they said, Toya, I should have listened to you. But you know what? As a manager, I got kids coming up in there singing WAP too, and I'm going to whop you right on out the door. You don't come up in here like that. You ain't coming in here with all them nails and them goofy eyelashes. You ain't going to do it on this clock. And this is what I mean when we need to cause order right where we are. We are the adults. So if you're coming into my establishment and I hired you, I'm going to get you in place. You ain't talking to each other kooky and cockeyed. You're not going to be listening to no music. You're not going to be disrespecting each other. You're going to follow the rules and regulations, and that's the way it is. And if you don't like it, you got 3 exits, 2 doors and a window. Pick your choice. And that's the problem. We're not putting up standards anymore. We're not holding our positions as adults anymore. We're so scared something's going to happen that we're not calling the shots, and we're letting the kids call it. And that's our problem. Anything that happens with the kids is the adult's problem. We got to stop making it seem like the kids. Who's stronger, the adult or the kids? And in many cases, it's the kids because the adults is soft and squishy.
Wow.
I hate to say it. Some of the teachers, soft and squishy. Some of the principals, soft and squishy. Some of the parents, soft and squishy.
Yep.
So now, when it comes to babying a child, first of all, they're not babying a child. That's the problem. A baby needs to be babied until it can eat meat. So a baby needs to be held, need to be cared to, need to be taken care of like a baby. But the point is training it up and it should go the way you should go. Why that baby still sucking on your breast at 8? Come on with the jokes.
Wow.
Why that baby don't know that you supposed to be getting up and well, you're a little boy, so your job is to do the trash and do the this and do the that. And girls can do it too. We're not teaching our kids. Nobody.
Good deal. All right,
and
preacher.
We steady trying to pass this ball around.
All right, preacher. We got to keep it moving. Let's go to K. K with an E. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
I'm
blessed and favored and woo. Y'all talking about a lot. I'm dealing with a lot. So
let's talk about it. What's on your heart?
Man, y'all, I know I went to a memorial. I was talking to this young man about his wife. The next day, his sister called me. We was at his brother-in-law's memorial. His wife passed away. Fixing his wife a plate. And we want to know what's wrong with our kids. Well, I'm thankful that her kids are grown, but it's little babies that was running around there, paw, looking for Auntie Stephanie. Now we got to explain to these babies, Auntie Stephanie's gone, just gone. So what's wrong with our kids? We got a lot of kids that's being raised by foster parents that's mistreating them, grandparents mistreating them because they got stuck with them, or daddy got them because mama passed away, or mama got them without a daddy and a stepdaddy in the home and he mistreating them. There's a lot of things going on in the kids, in our children today. It's a lot, literally. And when we out here working with homeless and suicide, I did that suicide walk, it's a lot going on with our children, our teens, and our adults. Because some of these children are growing up to adults and never got no type of help, no type of love. So it's a lot going on. And I mean a lot.
A lot. Absolutely. 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 Mr. Hicks, talk to me, sir.
Yes, sir. Don't put me in the corner.
Uh-oh.
You know what? When I'm
you about to go in the I can tell you about to go in the corner. I can tell you about to go in the corner. I can already tell you about to go in the corner. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to personal responsibility. The brother spoke on that, and Rico spoke on his issues about giving attention. It took me back to when I went to prison. And I went to prison with a crazy kind of sentence, and all was lost. And my sister, who was stationed at McGuire Air Force Base, and she's a high ranking, and she would come over and she gave me this book. They would allow her to come in even when I didn't have business. She gave me this book as a man thinker. And in the beginning of that book was a poem. It don't take me a second to see if I can repeat it because it's what guided me. It said, "Mine is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mine, and evermore he takes. The tool of thought shaping what he wills. He brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment experience but a looking glass." And that hit me with such an impact because coming from a Marxist kind of view and reading history through anger and stuff like that, I was a victim. I saw myself as a victim. I was a victim of my parents. I was a victim of the society. And I think that even though my son now, even recouping from his experience, the hardest thing for me to get him to see that he's not a victim. That even though you were unaware, you made choices, you made decisions that brought consequences. Those are laws of principle. Nobody can, and until you can go back and trace it to yourself, That's the only point that you can really change anything about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that you always had a choice. It's God given. No matter what, it's always been rough life.
Yeah.
You go through history, it's hard living every
Mm-hmm.
time. Even then, it ain't never been a good time. You're always faced with a challenge, but God gave you something. He gave you the ability to get in contact with him. You can contact him. But that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be your path. You have to figure it out. But once you get that, you're not alone anymore. You have a
Mm-hmm.
Father. Not the imperfect fathers we have, but our Father who art in heaven. And that's it. That's our 2 minutes. I'm good.
Good deal. Good deal. We're gonna go Cassandra, then we're gonna go to Cap. Cassandra, what's on your heart, sis?
Mm.
Come on, bring it home.
No, I can't bring it home. I don't know. I'm gonna just listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just listen.
Cassandra, is it a false fantasy to even think that we can have the community back as it was?
I think so. It would be really amazing if we could, but just listening to some of the comments here, we know that and we have a group of very intelligent people.
Yes.
So with the views that a lot of the people just on this line have, I don't think it's going to happen. It would be great because I promise you, even though we were poor in my community, I mean poor,
Mm-hmm.
we cared about each other. People cared about each other, and they looked out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, and for somebody to pop me on my behind or, jack me up and tell me to get yourself home when I know I've done something wrong, that did me good.
Mm-hmm.
That did not harm me. And it showed that they cared about me and what was going on with me. And we can talk. I've raised children, and I promise you, it's children. I've taught children for many years. It would be great to say, no, you don't need to put your hand on children. Some children you need to put your hand on. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And as an educator, I'm just sorry. It's some kids that you need to lay hands on them because no matter what you say, they ain't going to do right. You can talk to you blue in the face. You can say, I'm taking away your phone, your computer, whatever, and the behavior does not change. But I've seen a walk on the behind correct them real quick. So I'm not talking about anybody being abusive because that's what I fight on a daily basis. But I'm talking about ain't nothing wrong with somebody putting hands on a child in a way that they understand and age appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Cap. Cap, what's on your heart? Talk to me.
I agree with Cassandra. Every now and then you got to lay hands on them in the name of God. let me say this. I was thinking about, can we do this?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Hurricane Isaac. Look what it just did, Ian. It devastated parts of Florida that when we look at it from the television, from media, it's like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine the people who have been devastated by it. Do they say, hey man, it's so devastated we can't rebuild? Mm-hmm. Is our community so devastated that we can't rebuild? Those people are going to build that community.
Yeah.
We have seen hurricanes devastated communities over and over, tornadoes. But what do? They rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, family, the people that's on the coast, the people that live on the beach, do you think they're gonna build a home the same way that the hurricane took the home out? I don't think so. I think they're smart enough to say, you know what, man, I'm gonna build my home above the sea level. I'm gonna put a seawall. I'm gonna take it way back off the beach. So how are we gonna build our community? We're not gonna build our community the same way of yesterday. We're going to learn from the mistakes of the day. We're going to take a little bit of yesterday, but we will rebuild our community. Trust me. But it's not going to be the way we came up. No, we can't take it back the way it used to be. Because the hurricane, life had destroyed that. We'd be stupid to try to take away it used to be. We have to make a community that's strong, that be able to handle the devastation of anything. We can handle it. We can do that. We can rebuild our community family. Oh, yeah, it looks bad. Yeah, it looks terrible. But ask the people in Florida. When they walk away, well, it's over with. We can't rebuild. They're going to rebuild. Trust me. You know what? They're not going to rebuild the home the same way. So why would we build the community the same way? We now have an opportunity to rebuild the community in a different way, that we can withstand the hurricanes of life, that we can withstand the tornadoes of life, that we can withstand all of the tragedies and floodings that we may have to face. We have to build a community that has to be able to withstand everything we talked about, family. And you know what we have on this line right here? We have some of the builders.
Absolutely.
But we can't all do the same thing. There's no way.
Absolutely.
But if you go to build a home, man, the plumber don't come in before the excavator come in. The excavator don't come in. I mean, the electrician don't come in until everybody got a role. Whatever you doing, everybody on here, let me tell you, whatever you doing, you add, you ain't taking away. I don't care what you're doing, Curtis. I care what you're doing, sister. I don't care what team. I love her. Every one of us. It may be a small part. But I'm so doggone proud of y'all. But you know what? You're doing something.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you something. 1 hour doing something is better than 24 hours of doing nothing.
Absolutely.
Trust me on that one.
Yes, sir.
Thank
yes,
you,
sir.
my brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kurt, what's on your heart, brother?
What's on my heart in reference to?
What we talking about?
What's your question?
No question. I'm just saying, is it possible to rebuild the community back to what it was? Or is there anybody from where you're sitting, from your expertise, from your life lessons, is there anybody that's even interested?
No, I think there's several people that's interested. You look at the people you got on the panel, right? Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. In order for it to be possible, though, somebody gonna have to truly and factually state what was taken from the community. You can't never establish nothing that was already there if you don't talk about what was taken to decrease it or disseminate it or disregard it or denigrate it or humiliate it.
Okay. Let's we got a few minutes before we get out of here. Let's talk about what was taken away.
Some of which was taken away was never given. The natural state of existence was never given. That was never given. That was denied a culture or a group of people. And I'm not just talking about African Americans. The same thing was denied to the indigenous people. The same thing is denied to our Hispanic and Latino population. See, you can't talk about reestablishing culture if you're not willing to talk about what was taken out of the culture. You know, it's easy for us to say certain things, but all at the same time, we're not willing to talk about the fact that you gave a whole entire culture of people dainty meat that you knew was poison, that you gave them blankets that you knew had smallpox in it. Oh, we love to just, you know, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's Stockholm syndrome or something, but we love to just blame each other. And I get it. We are just as much responsible, if not even more responsible. But then I go back, brother, and I read the Willie Lynch letter. I go back, brother, and I read the Constitution that says that we are 3/5 of a human being, which means we are animals. I go back and I read the Kerner report that says the biggest problem we have in America is racism.
That's economically, socially, emotionally, it's racism. It is being used as a tool to perpetuate the continued success and wealth of another culture. When you talk about rebuilding a community, do you know how many pockets you're going to affect when you do that?
30 seconds.
Yeah, Gucci ain't going to be Gucci no more. Louis Vuitton ain't going to be Louis Vuitton no more. Because, see, now I can go to Rico and I can say, hey, Rick, man, hey, I like them sweatsuits you made, man. Let me get about 5 of them. Now I can go to Toya and say, Toya, I like them sneakers you made. Hey, let me get about 5 of them. Hey, Cap. And you know what? I'm gonna land this plane like this right here. Do you know why there's a concerted push to always make the fruit of Islam seem like they're vile and beneath the pale? Do you know why?
Why?
Because the fruit of Islam is truly one of the only sects in religion that has managed to take the lowest, what we consider the lowest of the low, and turn them into men. To make that guy who was thinking about, you know what, my life is murder, that's all it is, and make him regurgitate that and say, no, my life is more than that. The question is, how do they do it? The question is, when does the church say, okay, fruit of Islam has this ability to restore and revitalize the human existence of man?
Wow.
Why can't we connect there?
Exactly.
Because that's what community is all about. The restoration and the restoration and the restoring of mankind. That's what any basis of religion is.
Good deal. Good deal. Got to keep this thing moving. Let me go to Leonard and we're ready closing out of here. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Pretty much what we've been discussing, but I think that anybody trying to do anything has to start with themselves. Don't tell me to do nothing that you would not do yourself. And a lot of people, that's where you get to the point where it becomes off style. My mother used to always say, I'm going to teach you to do the right thing. You can learn to do the wrong thing by yourself. So you have to teach people to do right. That's the key. If you teach them to do that, they can apply that to the rest of the things in their life. But this self-righteous, judgmental type of thing where people got to do what I say and go this way, you have to get away from that and go back to teaching people decency and treating people how you want to be treated. This is not rocket science. But if you sit there and believe that everybody has a desire to be good and all this type of thing, you are completely off base. There are people who wake up in the morning to be wicked.
Wow.
And you have to realize that that's what should separate you from anybody. The righteous from the unrighteous. Not black, white, Christian. The righteous from the unrighteous. Let that be your guide.
Good deal. Good deal. We are about to get out of here. Rico, anything on your heart? Say what you're going to say briefly, brother, and then tell us what's going on at 3 o'clock today.
Yeah, man, I think about the little phrase, money over everything. You know, when you have to argue with a young mother that has 4 young boys, the oldest one is 8 and the youngest one is 2, and you're talking about WAP, and she said she liked the song and she didn't even know what it was saying until she heard her son say it, and then she started defending it when you start saying how negative it is. She ain't studying no Colonel report or no Willie Lynch letter. You see, in society, in this community that we're trying to rebuild, the standards have been dropped, and it's to a certain extent now where people are making certain things acceptable that should be unacceptable. Certain things that should be abominations because it's profitable or it's a trend. And so we have to understand as parents, what we're accepting. What are we? It might be cool for you, but it's so many times that I have to get around a person and tell them, hey, wait a minute, there's some children over there. Put that blunt down. Hey, man, what you talking about, man? Some little boy over there listening. There's some little girls over there. You know how many times I done been in the barbershop and had to check them dudes because they were talking nasty and it was women in the barbershop. And the women just sitting there like, man, these men gonna keep being disrespectful. The same ones that talk about how the traditional man needs to come back be the same ones inconsistently. Today they want to be hood. So we have to be consistent. I agree with everything Leonard said, man. It starts at home. It starts with being consistent. If you want to build a community and have some progress, you got to have community standards. And with those community standards, you make rules that make sure that those standards are fulfilled and that it doesn't get tainted, that you can accomplish that goal of having such a community. So I think people do want a community. I think we can have a community, but it all depends on if we want to base it off of traditional standards and even using them as a reference to how to have a community and do what it takes again. But we have to raise our standards and make rules to abide by those standards.
Absolutely.
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to see or hear the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Good deal. Now we're ready to go into the prayer with Willa. But before we do that, does anybody have anything they want to say about this topic before we get out of here?
Oh, thank you, Holy Ghost. Because you know what, Raheem? I was going to ask you, could I just have a few minutes just to reiterate on Curtis when he talked about the religion and the Muslims? You know, I'm honored that it brings forth a lot of men to think differently. I am so honored. But I just want to say that's just the beginning for the earth. Because one thing about it, we all are going to die. We all, every last one of us are going to leave this earth. And you got to ask yourself, where is your soul going to spend eternity? So if it's not doing that, then it's not doing what God has its intent. See, its intent was not just to make good people, but to tell people, to commission people to go talk about the gospel. So it's more than that. That's all I want to say. Religion, spirituality is more than that. It's more than that. So that's what I wanted to say, Raheem. Okay. And thank you, Holy Spirit, for putting that on Raheem's heart.
Anybody else have anything they want to say before we get out of here?
I agree with everybody, and I think Cassandra said something. You got to put your hands on them. The grown ones too.
Lord.
I want to hear my son upside his head right now. He's 36 years old.
Lord, see, and Kate, don't forget to look us up, man. We're gonna get together. We're all gonna get together, man, and go have lunch or something like that while we're there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
My wife got a whole itinerary of stuff we're gonna do while we're there, but just hit us up, and we'll definitely. Okay. And somebody else wanted to say something.
Just one thing I just came to my thought. When I was pulled out of prison by Vince Regan, he was juvenile, charged all the juvenile state of New Jersey. He was trained to be a priest. And when I started taking college courses, I started trying to introduce that into his therapy technique. And he sat and he would come back over the years and sit back and watch and see. And he called me, and it made so much sense when he said this thing. He said, "Eddie, it don't matter why with these kids. It's the what. You gotta get them to focus on where they are. They're in the criminal justice system. They're on the path. If they don't get it straight, they're gonna spend their life in there. It's not important what happened to them, that what made them a victim. You can't let them do that. You got to deal with what's in front of you and what's now." And that's when I said thing about being a victim. We can always find a reason why, but you got to go inside and find the source that show you a way out of it, whatever it is. And with that, I'm done. I enjoyed this conversation. I got so much from everybody who spoke.
Good deal. Good. To God be the glory, brother. To God be the glory. We're going to get out of here. Let me see y'all. Is Willa still there? Willa!
Oh, yeah. Come on, Ryan.
Well, actually,
let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, Raheem. I am so ready. Let's go.
Well, you know what, Willa? You know what? Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, Raheem. Let us all go. Father God in heaven, let us go to the throne of grace this morning. Let us talk to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Father, we thank you so much for waking us up this morning, for allowing us to commune one to another. We thank you, Lord, for the message because I believe, Lord, that was a message. That was a message in what you planned and orchestrated today. Father, we thank you for it, and we honor you, Lord. Father, we just thank you for everything that you do in our lives. I'm asking you, Lord, to touch and guide, give them wisdom and understanding, each and every last one that's on this line. Father, I thank you for the protection that you give us as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Father, you said that fear doesn't belong to us. You said that you give us grace. You give us mercy. I thank you, Lord, for it all. I'm asking you, oh Lord, to touch those that need comfort, Lord, that have lost loved ones. Touch those that are feeling sick, Lord. Give them the peace that surpasses all understanding. We thank you, Lord. I believe that you're already done it. Keep Raheem and his family safe. Touch the morning glow and allow the success to continue, Lord. I'm asking you for these things in your Son, Christ Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord, for the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen, amen. We're about to get out of here. It's been a great broadcast on the thing. Toya with the T, you still with us? Toya,
I am.
Toya with the T now. Now you done challenged me and I met your challenge today and me, you gotta have a talk. Look, we gotta have a little talk. Because you done challenged me yesterday. And I met your challenge. Yes, Lord.
That was an example, sir. That was an example, sir. Now, if the Lord put on your heart to do this with greatness and excellence and to have your butt up on time and stick to your word, that's what the Lord did. I was making an example on how you talk to folks. Now, if you just got right, then you just got right. Can't get right. That's what I'm going to do that. That's the Lord. That's the Lord and you.
And look here.
And I'm glad that I can help usher you in the right way, but I shall not be serving you at 7 a.m. Now, we can do 8 a.m., but 7 a.m., that's me in the Lord's time. You ain't going to get me before 8.
And look at here.
No.
And then you got Rico. He came right behind you tomorrow. I've been telling you that a long time. You ain't listening to me. You listening to me. I said, oh, Lord.
Yeah, he ain't want to hear me, though. But look, this is the funny part about it. He talking about if you could baby somebody, you could bury him. Now, how you going to set the date, set your time, and then want somebody to pat you on your back pulling up on the time?
Hold on. Hold on. I think, hold on. Something going on with Rico Mike. Something going on with Rico Mike. I don't know what's going on with his microphone over there. Something happened to his mic. It just shut out.
Here we go.
I don't know what happened to his mic. Something happened to his mic, y'all. Rico,
y'all look at me, y'all. I was on time.
Oh no, there goes Mike again. There goes Mike. I don't know what's going on with it. It's going in and out. It just seemed to be going in and out for some reason.
Look, Raheem.
Yes.
Raheem. You know they be having these things, right? They be like, black people always late.
Oh, Toya Mike. Where Toya Mike at? Hold on. There go Toya Mike. Something going on with her mic too, Lord. I don't know what's going on with these microphones today.
Hey, y'all better be glad I showed up when I said I was.
Oh, Lord. Hey, see, boy, these mics, boy, it must be the connection. I think it's the connection. I think it's the connection. That's what I think it is. I think it's just the connection. But we'll fix it. We'll fix it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Listen, it's been a great broadcast.
Who that lady? Papa, who that lady that said muted?
What am I getting?
Who that
there go. Oh. How you say, did I do that? Hey, I want to take a moment though on the serious note and rest in peace. Wonder Boy, Keith Wonder Boy Johnson. You know, he passed a few days ago, man. You know, he was a friend of the broadcast. He's been on with us a couple of times on here. Keith Wonder Boy Johnson. He had one of my favorite songs. I just wanna be right. I gotta break out the song. I just wanna be right. Yeah. You know, he did a good job, but you know, I just want to take an opportunity.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and see, and that's so good how I was able to mirror what he did. I was able to mirror.
I don't know about mirror. Murder, maybe, but not mirror.
I'm surprised the captain on here and captain just let y'all just do me any kind of way like that. Captain, I don't understand what's going on today, brother. I'm trying to figure out what's going on today.
But look, I'm trying to understand again how you gonna go out on a serious note. How you gonna go out on a serious note and then disrespect this man with that voice?
Ooh. That wasn't a disrespect. The truth hurts.
Oh, that's Toya. Now, what you mean, Toya? Oh, her mic must be muted. Rico, what you say, Rico? I believe the mic is muted.
You're ready to say he's gonna start muting people in a minute. I knew that was coming.
What K with E? What K with E? Hold on. K, what you say, K? I can't hear you. What you say, K? K, say it again, K. God almighty, your mic must be muted. Let me see.
You ain't got to mute.
All over there, right here.
Well, look, y'all.
That thing out of control, ain't it? I got a finger for you. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, listen, it's been a great broadcast. I want to thank you. I ain't even fooling with you, Toya. I want to thank everybody for joining. More than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK, your media group, and associates, and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now what time? It is now 10:22. 10:22. You're about to exit the Morning Glow, but before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Then we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other, and please, please, please be blessed. Yes, ma'am.
I need to get in touch with Miss Willa. Can you make that happen for me?
Yeah, I can make it happen today. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a great day. Love you all. Take care of each other.